chugga lugga lugga.
All right, you want us to unmute now? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Citywide Sports Park in London, Ontario. We got Ontario Football Conference semi-final action as the London Beefeaters host the Hamilton Hurricanes, or I apologize, it's the Ottawa Sooners. The winner will take on the winner of the Hamilton Hurricanes and the St. Clair Saints. And Ron, these two teams met each other twice in the regular season. The Beefeaters won both of those games, including the last contest that was here at Citywide Sports Park. However, it's the first time these two teams have met each other in the postseason since 2009. That time, the Sooners actually won that contest, went on to prevail in the OFC, but would lose in the national semifinal. So with all that being said, what do you predict coming into this one here today?
Weather's going to be a huge key today for both teams. The wind here is howling as we see the Beefeaters just about to come onto the field, coming out of the north. It's going to be interesting to see because these two teams played each other. Although the scores seemed really lopsided at the one by the end of the game, these were very, very close games, very close to the vest, tightly played contests. Both times they played. I expect nothing else but anything like that all over again. I think you're going to see a heavy dose like we've seen all year for the Beefeaters. The run game, the run game, the run game. John, these weather conditions, I said it kind of at the start, they're going to be a huge factor as this game goes on.
It's currently 10 degrees before kickoff here in the Forest City. They expect the winds to gust as high as 45 kilometers, currently blowing about 28 kilometers from the southwestern direction. But as you infamously call this the wind tunnel, and you hear it in the background, folks, we expect this to play on both the kicker of A.J. Williamson. We'll get into all of his accolades, including being a two-time All-Star in a single season, as well as it fears Nathan Coleman. Last time it was Jared Musavali. We saw him do some theatrical things as the PATs and the punts when he was trying to hold down the fort for the Sooners as we see the Beefeaters come onto the field. But as we always say, Ron, this could be a kicker's game, but the elements will play headaches.
The elements are going to be a huge thing. Big advantage Beefeaters have over Ottawa is their special teams. They have been a dominant force on special teams. They have the number one kicker in the province, arguably the country, in A.J. Williamson. He's had himself a monster year. This wind, the way it's blowing with the wind at your back now, I'm saying it now, this kid can hit a 45, 50-yard field goal with the wind at his back today.
These two teams played each other twice in the regular season, and they were kind of close contests in the first half of action, that is, Ron. If you combine the two final scores, the London Beefeaters actually beat the Sooners 73-20 over the course of those, 2 hours of football. But it is hard to beat a team 3 times in 1 year. That does benefit Ottawa, who comes in with the, offensive rookie of the year in their quarterback, and Owen Cohen.
Owen Cohen is a special athlete. He's a young man, his first year in the OFC. He has really done a great job of taking a team that had a hiatus for a number of years, rebuilding it and kind of saying, let's get on my back, let's see how far we can go. This Ottawa team is very, very athletic. They have speed everywhere. They have dynamic receivers. This is, you and I talked about it this week, before the game. This game feels like it could come down to 1 or 2 plays. Which team's going to make those 1 or 2 plays usually decides the factor in the end.
And again, for the Ottawa Sooners, they are coming off of a huge victory, 46-10 over the Quinte Skyhawks on October 2nd at Loyalist College. Their defensive gem in Graham led the way. He had 3 solo tackles, an interception that he returned 51 yards to the house, and as a result was named Defensive Player of the Week in the OFC. He not only ran for a touchdown on the offense, so did Shamar Scarrett, Jonathan Aoud, and Devin Kacinda caught a touchdown. Now Cowan, went 12 of 22 in that game, Ron, 113 yards, 1 touchdown. Maybe more important for this playoff game, 0 interceptions.
Yeah, that's going to be the key. It is not to turn the ball over today. It was a big turning point, although the Sooners couldn't take advantage of it. The last time these two teams played, this was a 6-0 game, and then all of a sudden, in Ethan Chambers' pick 6, Ottawa was up. Beefeaters kind of settled in after that and really kind of took advantage of it. I expect a very similar style of game today that we've seen the last 2 times last two times these two teams have played.
Well, if you go off of recent history, it definitely favors the London Beefeaters coming in with their 6-2 record and ranked nationally for that matter. But if you go off ancient history, we're talking about 13 years ago. It was a 24-10 victory for the Sooners to go off to then play in the OFC final. They'd win that game too, but then would lose in the national semifinal game to the Edmonton Wildcats.
Yeah, and again, the powers that rise out west, the Okanagan Sun,
who are in action later today.
Yes.
9 o'clock our time, 5 o'clock their time. It's the defending national champion Langley Rams taking on the Rising Sun, as you like to refer to them as, in Okanagan.
Yeah, but again, it's going to be a really, really interesting day. Let's see how things shape up today. We know we've Hamilton and St. Clair playing later on tonight as well. That game, I believe, is a 6 o'clock kickoff, John. I can't remember 100%.
It's 2 hours past this one, partner. You're right, 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock, my apologies. So, yeah.
You see the head coaches there at midfield, Kevin Ling, your OFC Coach of the Year, shaking hands with the official. Can you talk about that matchup between him and Matt Schneider? Schneider has that heavy pro run offense. 1,973 of their 2,600-plus yards came on the run, whereas Ottawa seems to be a little slightly more of a passing team.
Yeah, Ottawa likes to have a balanced attack. They like to get the ball out short and quick to the receivers. Let your athletes make a play as we're just waiting for the playing of our national anthem, John.
All right, so we're going to head off to the national anthem. We're going to head off to the national anthem here at Citywide Sports Park. For Ron Ferwerda, I'm Jonathan Urbanowicz. The OFC semifinal between the Sooners and the Beefeaters is on the other side.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, and all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true North, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Go, Beefs, go!
Canadian National Anthem sung here on Beefs TV before this semifinal action as the Ottawa Sooners are in town to take on the London Beefeaters. Last time these two teams hooked it up was right here at Citywide Sports Park. That was all the way back on Saturday, September 24th. It ended up being a 31-6 final, but I do recall Christian Fidel intercepting Ethan Chambers early in the second quarter of play, returned it all the way to the house for a pick six. The PAT would fail, though. It was a 7-6 ball game early in the second quarter, but as I alluded to, that's as close as it would get. A 31-6 final, large in part to the Beefeaters rushing for 253 of their 360 total yards.
Yeah, it was a really dominating performance. It's the two-headed monster for the Beefeaters. Taz Van Bell and LJ Dyers are really being like 1-2, 1A, and 1B more or less.
Well, LJ Dyer grabbed the 2-yard run to open up the scoreboard the last time these two teams hooked it up. In fact, if you recall, in the opening game of the regular season in our nation's capital, LJ Dyer returned the opening kickoff against these Sooners, 105 yards. That actually matched the 39-year club mark set by Tom Bitts at 105 yards.
Well, and as we see the teams lining up, the Beefeaters won the toss, deferred to the second half. So the Ottawa Sooners will receive the ball and will have the wind at their back to start this game. Really important. The weather is going to be a huge factor as this game goes on. It's fall football, Beefeaters, Sooners. Johnny, let's get things started.
The Sooners, black on black, including the buckets, just that orange trim around the numbering as A.J. Williamson kicks this one away, and we're off on OFC playoff action here on Beefs TV. The returner gets a healthy return, actually switches up scales to the left side. That's Enoch Ayenka. And, well, the ball squirted out at the end. We're going to say he was down on the carpet first.
Yeah, down by contact, returns the ball out to the 35-yard line. Really good return. Just kind of a straight ahead, making a couple guys miss here and there. Straight ahead, positive momentum. Let's see if Ottawa, I expect them the quick passing game early here. Let's get the Beefeaters thinking that they got to stop the pass and then set up the run for Ottawa.
Owen Cowan threw for 1,254 yards during the regular season. He had 9 touchdowns, but he did throw 5 interceptions. However, you couple in the 296 rushing yards he had on 28 carries. Ron, that's 10.5 yards per carry. He had 2 rushing touchdowns, but the first play of the game will be a run. It's Wilson to the near side. Flag is flying. He's got the first down as he lowers the boom in on Marcelo da Silva, but it looks like a holding penalty is bringing this play back.
Yeah, holding call right away. They saw it. It's on the inside there. Actually, just on the edge, you can see the right tackle grabbed the Beefeater. I believe that was Dylan Clark that was being held there.
Wilson came into this game averaging 4.5 yards per carry. He had 4 rushing touchdowns over 42 attempts, 187 yards in a Sooners uniform in 2022. He looked like he had, about 12 yards there, except his team's going in the wrong direction by 10.
Yeah, that's not the start that you're looking for Ottawa. It was a good play design, get the ball at the edge, which is kind of what we talked about. I think the Sooners got to get the ball to the edges a little bit more. That's why I expect a quick passing game.
And keeping with that turn, watch out for number 15, Nathan Coleman, is pump faking in the pocket as Cowan. He's going to go off for a gander to the right side, trying to dipsy doodle his way around some Beefeaters, and he does, getting out of bounds on his own accord.
Yeah, good gain. Feels the pressure. They're looking for that quick step off screen. Right there. Everyone's locked up, but you see the defender coming down. Quarterback reads that, makes a good decision not to throw that ball. Gets a gain of about 8 yards on that, John. That's going to bring up second down. Really positive momentum. Talk about that 10-yard average that the quarterback had. He was just short of it on that carry.
Yeah, he got 9 of the 10 penalty yards back from the previous holding infraction. And here he's going to go into the gun. Beefeaters defense led by Dylan Clark, who was named the outstanding defensive lineman and an all-star as a result. We get another dose of Wilson. Wilson to the outside, trying to scramble up the field to about the 38-yard line. But Ron, he'll be about 2 yards shy of the first down. You'd assume they'd play it safe early and punt the ball away.
Well, you assume that, but I just have that feeling Ottawa didn't kick a lot the last time that they were down here. I expect that to kind of hold. They're going to go for it here, I believe, John. No, they are bringing their punt unit out here. So, again, smart decision here early. Pin them deep, play the wind at your back, and kick the ball away.
And I don't want to put a pin in your bubble there, but they did punt the ball away last game they were here. The one thing they didn't do, though, was they refused to take a safety to give up field position.
They're going.
So in the pro set, check that as Wilson steps back behind the quarterback and Cowan. The Beefeaters were off guard. They had their punt return unit out there, and as a result, Matt Snyder burns a timeout with 12:53 remaining in the opening quarter of play.
Well, smart decision. You see something, they have an advantage on you there, so you definitely want to get that looked after. Smart timeout. Let's get your run package, your run defense out there. Again, now do the Sooners turn around and punt the ball away? That's the question here with the wind at their back. I think they're going to go for it. It's just kind of that feel that I've got. Ottawa's got nothing to lose. They're the 3 seed, 6-hour bus ride to get here.
And the last time they were on this turf, their run game was held to just 53 yards.
Yeah.
They only had 121 yards of total offense. And remember, their offense was shut out. It was a pick 6 by Christian Fidel on the defense that, put the points on the board for the Sooners in that 31-6 loss. As those gusty winds keep blowing across the turf here at Citywide Sports Field, up to 45 kilometers an hour from the southwestern direction now. You are right. I mean, that gut is onto something there, Ron, as all of a sudden back into the gun goes Cowan, as he's going to hand this one off, trying to get through the seam. And you know what, Ron? He's got enough for the first down to move the chains.
That's an attitude setter that they're trying to do there. We need 2 yards. We're going to get 5 or 6 on that carry. Really good straight ahead, just a straight power play. Outman them at the point of attack. Good push from the offensive line. Moving the defensive line for the Beefeaters back. First down, Sooners.
I'm surprised to see him get around the 6'5" Jordan Mackey, though, to be honest with you, on that last play. It brings up a first down from roughly the 46-yard line. Cowan back into the gun, has 3 weapons to his left side. Watch out for Jordan Wright in a Beefeater uniform who had 4 interceptions this season. Pass is completed to the near side. First down and more. Breaking through a seam. Past the 40, past the 30, past the 20. This kid could be making a house call, and he is. Touchdown Sooners. That will be a 67-yard gallop to pay dirt for Mark Webb.
Just a straight wide receiver screen. This is what we call a step off. One missed tackle and you're off to the races. Great job engaging downfield, picking up some blocks, and then all of a sudden you're off to the races. Nobody there. House call for the Sooners. Early 6-0 lead. 3 minutes into this game, John.
Mark Webb came into this game after having 7 catches, 194 yards over the course of the regular season. He just picked up 65 plus and a TD on that last play to kick off the playoffs. So we actually do see number 15, Nathan Coleman, coming out to kick the PAT. Not the same kicker we saw last time, as the Beefeaters jump here and flags go flying. Going back to the Coleman part, though, we saw Jared Musavali doing the kicking the last time in both the punting and the place kicking. But for the Sooners in their last game in that 46-10 victory over the Quincy Skyhawks, Coleman was 1 for 1 in field goals, 5 for 5 in PATs, which is the situation he is in now. And he also punted the ball 6 times for a 42.3 average.
It's something to consider as well, John. He's a left-footed kicker, which doesn't sound like much, but it changes up where your rush angles come from as well. So these are the small things that you got to remember. The rush now has got to come from the Beefeaters' left-hand side instead of the right.
A bit of a low snap, and yeah, you're right. Unfortunately, the holder tried to correct the ball, but before that, Coleman booted it away. The ball wasn't set right, and it actually ricocheted off of somebody's helmet. It's a no good. And what do you know? The last time Ottawa was here, they scored 1 touchdown. They missed the PAT. Well, it didn't take them a quarter plus of action. Instead, you literally have, 2:59 into this playoff contest. Mark Webb, a 67-yard catch and run. And to be honest with you, Ron, after he caught the ball, let's say 4 or 5 yards into the play, the yards after the catch was 60 plus from Webb.
Yeah, it was great blocking downfield. Got a couple linemen out there, got a couple receivers out there. Everybody had a body. Everyone's hands were inside. Those are the things that you look for. And again, the 5-yard penalty doesn't seem like much, but 5-yard penalty. You're now kicking from the 50 with the wind blowing. This ball is going to go to the end zone. The Beefeaters are going to have this ball probably around the 15, 20-yard line. Not great field position to start.
The Sooners offense, it wasn't 60 minutes because obviously the Beefeaters get a chance too, but over the course of 60 minutes, didn't have a single offensive point on the board the last time here in London. It took 2 minutes and 59 seconds. Boom goes the dynamite. 6 points on the board through Mark Webb. But the PAT is missed, and that could be huge as this game goes on. This kick just keeps on going further and further back. LJ Dyer pretty much at the goal line, collects it. He'll be brought down just barely by Christian Fidel, of all people, the person that grabbed the pick 6 the last time in London for the Sooners.
Boy, I'll tell you something. If he doesn't make this tackle, LJ Dyer is off to the races here. He had a full head of steam. He attacks his ball, gets it 5 yards deep, right here. If he doesn't make that tackle, there's not a lot of Sooners out there. There's one on the edge, but that was it. So
it's good to see Ethan Chambers back into the huddle. If you recall in our last broadcast in Week 8 of OFC action, he was actually knocked out of the game as a result. We get a handoff to Taz Van Bell going in the wrong direction, and he's lucky that ball didn't squirt loose.
Technical difficulties going on here with the
between your ears, yes.
Yeah, with the senior citizen that I am at this point.
Oh, so. Are you gonna mug your fellow coworkers?
No. We're talking over that right now.
So going back to football, Ron,
yes.
The Beefeaters offense goes through, I should say, Ethan Chambers, who came into this game 40 of 106 passing. That's only 38% though. 517 yards, 2 touchdowns. 5 interceptions in the regular season. He mainly did the damage with his legs. As it's a play action, a wobbly ball's up. Coming back to it, though, is the receiver, and then the ball squirts loose at the end. Sooners have it. No whistle on the play, so the Sooners grab the ball. Samir Lucene, who led the Sooners with interceptions this season, grabs a loose change after Nick McKenzie did a great job of coming back to the underthrown Chambers ball. Oh my word, everything going right for Ottawa right now.
This ball just gets hung up into the wind. Nick McKenzie does a great job of coming back to it right there. That's a great job by a missed defender's number. He goes out, punches that ball loose. It is a definite catch and fumble. It is recovered by Ottawa. Ottawa with all the momentum early in this. The Beefeaters defense has got to make a play here, Johnny.
Beefeaters defense, led by Jordan Wright and Willie Maboku, were both named OFC All-Stars. Wright had 4 interceptions and 4 knockdowns, and Maboku had, 16 tackles and 4 knockdowns, making headaches for the quarterback as Wilson is tripped right at the line of scrimmage. You think if he wasn't tripped up there, the first down marker was really in his sight line. Instead, he'll trip his way to 5 yards.
Yeah, every gap's covered, but you can kind of see he squirts through there, and you're into the secondary. Boy, oh boy, the linebackers are playing really close to the line. Ottawa with a good gain of 5 yards. They're running the ball. They're doing what they have to do early. Use the clock. Get the yards with the wind at your back. Smart coaching so far.
Owen Cowan takes the snap, hands it off to Wilson, who staggers up the field. Once again, he was dead to rights behind the line of scrimmage and sort of crawled his way up for a gain or two.
Oh, he's tripped up in the backfield by Connor Crozier, the blitzing linebacker. You can kind of see it right there. Gets his hand out, trips him up, holds him to a gain of about 3 yards. Ottawa, I believe, is going to go for it again here, John.
Well, that would make sense. They already went for it from within their own territory.
Yeah.
And if you recall, a couple plays later, 67-yard hookup to Mark Webb, and they're up 6-0.
So plus the extra point was blocked. So, the trust in your kicking game, you've gone through a lot of different kickers. I don't mean it's probably not there as much for Coach as the short yardage situation might be.
So Cowan out of the gun, has 2 swag to the line. They snap the ball, but the whistle blows the play dead.
Missed the time count. Okay, so they're going to call 5-yard time count violation.
Might be a little home field advantage here by the London officiating. There's no way, Ron, that was over a play clock of length. There's just no way. Anyways, we'll go back
now
to the
the
action
punt
on third
unit's
down.
coming on.
I'm going to call a spade, but there's some gamesmanship going on there.
Yeah, so smart play here. Let's punt the ball. Even if they give up the Rouge, the Beefeaters are still fine. It's going to be 7. So, with the wind blowing as much as it is, this ball is probably going to travel pretty close to the end zone.
Keegan Cardona and Nick McKenzie going back right and left respectively down to the goal lines. And as I mentioned, it looks like Coleman is back there around the 50 to punt this one away. Holding true to his average at least last week against the Quinty Skyhawks in Belleville. He booted the ball 6 times and averaged 42.3 yards per punt. And like you said, if he gets 58 plus here, he's got a chance at, a single point. Gets a beautiful spiral on it. In fact, it hooks down, and you couldn't ask for a more beautifully punted ball. It'll go as a Rouge. I guess if you're being a real critic of punters, you want that rolling out around the 1 and really trapping him in there. But just the fact that he hit that to McKenzie, the ball hit the southwesterly winds, Ron, and rolled right for the far pylon.
Yeah, and that was exactly as, you kind of just, the way the wind's blowing and everything else, I'm just kind of doing the math, thinking, okay, that's going to hit about the 5-yard line, may get a bit of a roll. Yeah, they're going to kind of give up the Rouge. Beefeaters don't mind giving up the Rouge there because, again, it keeps it into the 1-score game. 9 minutes, 1 second left to go here in the first quarter. The Beefeaters with their third offensive play down 7-0.
Ethan Chambers will take the snap out of the shotgun, looks to hand this one off to Taz Van Bell. He's stuffed at the line of scrimmage. There are flags flying yet again, though, on this play.
Yeah, and that came right from the side. I don't know if somebody lined up offside or what, but we're going to find out in a second here. I think Ottawa lined up they were slightly offside. I want to say that their left end there, or the outside left player, was a little bit ahead that he should have been, and it was exactly that.
So they'll pick up a free 5 yards there. Will London down here 7-0 early in the first quarter on home field. Taz Van Bell, by the way, was named an OFC All-Star. It's the third consecutive season he was named an All-Star, and he was also named the Outstanding Offensive Player at the running back position after collecting 554 yards on 86 rushes, just 3 touchdowns, though, over the course of 2022. We get another taste of Taz here, and he takes a mean shoulder at the end of that one, Ron. Sure, he goes up to the 49. Sure, he moves the chains, but he just ate a Sooner shoulder in the process.
Yeah, this is a great run. This is an
Watch this at the end, though.
Yeah,
Boom!
coming right across. That's a big man coming across there. I don't know if that's a linebacker or one of the defensive linemen that was coming across there. That's a big man coming across. Taz Van Bell, who's being laid up with a little bit of an ankle the last couple of weeks, which is why we haven't seen him as much lately.
Well, he set out
the start.
Last time these two teams hooked it up here in Citywide, as it's this time LJ Dyer, I believe, trying to snake his way to the first down marker, and he's about a yard shy. But going back to Taz Van Bell, last time these two teams hooked it up here at Citywide Sports Field, we saw him on the bench, fully suited up, looked ready to go, didn't take a single snap. So in a weird way, that kind of works out to Matt Schneider's benefit here today, because he's got, well, a 3-time All-Star that they didn't see the last time around. However, he did play in that opening game of the season, Ron. Oh, yeah, went on a 99-yard run, which set a Beefeater record, beating our boy Darren Isaac, who set one in the early 90s at 89. So Chambers gives it to Taz Van Bell. Van Bell just needs the yard for the first down. He's swallowed up by the black hole of the Sooner defense, but, well, he gets 2 yards and moves the chains.
Yeah, that's all you're trying to do there, maintain possession. Good push by the offensive line, pulling across. Ottawa's doing a really good job of backfilling, and what I mean by that is they seem to get a scraper coming off the edge, following that puller where they're coming from. So something that we have to see. I've seen them walk that blitzer up a couple times on the backside. I want to see if that holds true here a couple more times here.
Chambers takes the snap with 3 weapons to the right side. Going to hang on to this ball and scoot over to that right side. Baseball slides down after gaining 3 yards. And to be honest with you, last time we were on Beef's TV, he got injured, was replaced by Anthony Pinto, so you'd like to see your quarterback keep it safe early.
Yeah, that's exactly, you want to see it, but this is definitely the right call. The defensive end crashed in to take away the run. The quarterback's got to pull that ball, get out there. Good gain of about 4 yards on that.
I was going to say, they gave it to him where he kind of stopped sliding, not where he initiated the slide, because that went across the grass for about 3 yards.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit further than I think he got. But
so they kind of switch up the position back to the left side, hand this one off to LJ Dyer right up the gut, and I believe he's about a yard past the sticks. It's another first down.
A couple yards. This is just straight ahead, inside power. That's all they're doing. Watch them pulling. There's the puller coming across, hunting a wave, looking for someone. And that's just LJ Dyer getting small in the hole, following a big push by the offensive line, which has really been dominant this year for the Beefeaters.
Third first down of the game for the Beefeaters, a team that collected 138 first downs over the course of the 2022 regular season. Chambers hands this one off right up the gut, but Sooners a little more wise to it this time, as LJ Dyer is stuffed for a marginable gain.
Yeah, again, that time. So there's the time that you see the extra linebackers coming down, and they're really doing a good job of collapsing down. You see them coming in late there, getting involved, but there's nobody outside, so Ottawa's got to keep aware of that pull from that quarterback to be able to get upfield there.
Dyer's going to sit off this next play. Remember, I already referred to his 105-yard touchdown return to start off the 2022 season. He also added 2 rushing touchdowns on 7 carries and 30 yards in Week 1 against the Sooners in our nation's capital. Flag flying on this play. Chambers throws it to the near side, caught by Nigel Morris. He'll be stuffed and shy of the first down.
But there's flag on the play. I think you're going to have offside against the Sooners again.
I was going to say Aiden Wallace-Blaquette, but no, that's actually Richard Crammon on the tackle. He leads the Sooners defense by example. Not only was he named an all-star this year, but he had 24 total tackles, a block kick, a knockdown, a forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries. Oh yeah, a touchdown fumble recovery, and 2 interceptions that were both returned for touchdowns. Oh yeah, and he goes on the offensive side too and gets touchdowns that way.
Yeah, he's a very dynamic playmaker, and it's all about getting the ball in his hands as much as he can. But again, really physical player, as it was an offside against the Sooners, moving up 5 yards, and we're going to replay second down now, John.
Something they can't afford on this drive. They're really giving Ethan Chambers room to work. As he's going to hand this one off to Taz Van Bell. Stutter steps through the line of scrimmage off to the left side. Chambers is indicating they got the first down, and it looks like they do.
Yeah, I think he got about 4 or 5 yards. He needed 3 on that. They're just small balling it, using up all this clock as that clock's ticking down. The Beefeaters don't mind this drive. Okay, you gave up the fumble on that first drive. Okay, settle down. This is a really good settle down drive.
And that fumble came subsequently. That was their first drive after Ottawa scored on their opening drive. So it was magnetized, and now they've really kind of calmed down the seas.
Yeah, really good job. If everyone settled down, let's just do what we do best.
So watch out for Nigel Morris sweeping across here. Instead, it's off to Taz Van Bell to that left side. Has a man to beat. No, sir. Great defense and a tackle in the open field on, well, the offensive player of the year in the OFC, at least at the running back position.
Yeah, this is a really, really good job of stretching Taz Van Bell out wide. There you can see, really good job. Good job from the corner, coming up, making an open field tackle against a dangerous runner. Held him to pretty much no gain on that, John.
3:20 remains here in the opening quarter. That somewhat have flown by. If you recall, the last time these two teams hooked it up here, it was a 7-0 game thanks to an L.J. Dyer 2-yard gallop over the first quarter of play. Chambers, he's gonna get swallowed up in the backfield. That's a sack for the big man in Ibrahim Hajja.
Yeah, 92, the big man. They're just trying to outflank him. The Beefeaters go empty. What they're trying to do is outman at the point of attack. This time, I don't understand that. They got a double team at the point, but they left the linebacker completely alone, and he just comes through screaming and hits Ethan Chambers for a big loss. The Beefeaters are lining up for a long field goal into this win, Johnny. I'm not so sure about this one.
25 in the regular season. That's 76%. However, the last time he played these Ottawa Sooners, he hit 3 field goals. And if you recall, in the last regular season game, he hit a 49-yarder. This one is from 38 yards away, and it's wide left. So the Sooners have a chance to get out of the end zone and avoid the Rouge, and they do. Watch out. They have a chance to make some damage. The ball comes loose, and London recovers. Oh, me. Oh, my.
Guess who recovered
it's the kicker, Williamson. He couldn't draw that up if he tried.
No, this is a really good job. They're talking about it like he might have been down, but he absolutely was not down. It is 100% the Beefeaters' ball on this. This is a really good job of getting out of the end zone. Some smart blocking. It just missed the number there. 34 for the Beefeaters, I think, is the one that caused the fumble. A hit from behind. Again, ball's just being held a little bit loose.
So with 2:24, the Beefeaters have life. They thought they were going to have a 7-3 game. Well, then quickly it evaporated, looked like a 7-0 game again, and then they get the ball back, well, pretty much knocking on the red zone. Check that. They're in the red zone by a yard. The handoff once again to Taz Van Bell. A gap opens up to the left side. The linebacker crew kind of swallows him up there, and it is Richard Graham, one of the Sooners, in on the tackle. You also have to watch out for the linebacker in Sean Charles. He was also named an All-Star in the OFC this year. Not only does he have 21 total tackles, but he's kind of like Richards. 2 block kicks, 2 forced fumbles, a fumble recovery for a TD, and an interception. Guys, I can do it all, Swiss Army knife style.
Yeah, and it gets to get really dynamic, young defense for the Sooners. I know that they were thinking that they're a year away from being really competitive, but why not this year is what Ottawa is saying. As a $1:30 left in the first quarter, John. Really fast-paced, fast-moving quarter.
If they were to be a Cinderella story here in 2022 and let's say win the national championship, it would be the 5th one in Sooners history. Play action from Chambers, going into the end zone, intercepted Sooners! Ottawa ball! Reading it like a coloring book that time too, Ron. I believe that's Wallace Blaquette. I gotta catch the number.
Number 2, I believe, John.
Okay.
No, number 3.
Okay, that would be Keyshawn Upshaw Tynes, who's actually been a special teams player of the week in the OFC. If you recall back when they played the Quincy Skyhawks, Keyshawn Upshaw Tyne, that was week 4 of action. He had 2 kicks returned for a touchdown, 188 yards on a kickoff, and then a missed field goal 115 yards back the other way. And, well, he does something else in the end zone. He picks the ball off.
Smart heads-up player, just maintaining the possession, get down. Ball comes out to the 20-yard line. First down Sooners. And let's see if they can make something happen with the wind at their back a little bit more.
A fumble, a missed field goal, and an interception. This has not been the ideal first quarter for the home team. As Cowan is flushed out of the pocket, he'll take a lick to make the play. That's number 44, Connor Crozier, laying the boom, but not after the quarterback picks up about 7 yards.
Well, this is a smart play because they had a double move going on the outside here. Beefeaters never bid on it. Good coverage by number 22 for the Beefeaters, John. And again, Crozier just following his play, following it all the way across, knocks him out of bounds after a gain of, well, they gave him a first down on that. Or did they?
No, the chain gang's just a little lackadaisical today there, Ron.
Okay, gain of about 7.
I think everybody's lackadaisical around here today. Anyways, as this one's caught by my man Coleman, refuses to go down right away. I mean, he shrugged off the Kyle Shea tackle attempt like a bad cold and kept on going.
Yeah, good job of keeping your feet, keep it driving. Just a little sit-down route. You need 4 yards. Let's run the road at 5. Really smart heads-up football. Easy completion for your quarterback as we're probably into our last play of the first quarter,
Every
John.
time you say that, a penalty.
Oh, I know.
Remember, this is the last time these two teams hooked it up in the postseason. It was all the way back in 2009. That's when the Sooners prevailed 24-10. They'd go on to win the OFC, but lose in the national semifinal to the Edmonton Wildcats as Wilson is swallowed up pretty much at the line of scrimmage. Now some pushing and shoving going around.
Hey, look, flags at the last play of the quarter,
Oh,
John.
I knew something was up when you said that, Ron. As Dylan Clark was involved in the action, but sometimes they get the retaliator, not the instigator.
Well,
What am I saying? They always get the retaliator.
Yeah, this is definitely, I think it's going to be against Ottawa.
I'm surprised it is against the Sooners, but I'm surprised it's not kind of against both.
I am too, to be honest with you. It was definitely a shot, but it was after yards.
You think we're early enough in the contest, though, Ron, where if you give it to both, maybe it hammers that out for the rest of the game?
Yeah, you would think so, but it was it was definitely a shot after the whistle. Okay, like there was definitely a shot there.
And they're gonna conclude this quarter on a penalty?
Yeah, because it was after the play. It's an after the play foul, extracurricular.
All right, well, we'll go to the Nicholas Mortgage Group box score as well. It's a different one than the last time these two teams hooked it up here at Citywide Sports Field. 2 minutes and 59 seconds into the game. It was sort of a screenplay, if you will, to Mark Webb. Webb ran, well, about 65 of the 67 yards all the way to pay dirt. And Mark Webb, who only had 1 touchdown in the regular season, has the first one of the postseason. The PAT, though, missed. Exactly 3 minutes later, though, Ottawa would collect a rouge off of a beautiful punt by Nathan Coleman that went out of bounds to the far sidelines. And then with 2:24 left in the opening quarter, a missed A.J. Williamson kick, a guy that completed 76% of his kicks during the regular season. And we saw over the course of the last 2 weeks pretty much was 8 of 9 and hitting multiple ones from 40 yards out. But with 45-kilometer-hour gusts coming across Citywide Sports Park, you can't blame him there. And on top of the missed field goal, we've seen a Beefeaters fumble and an interception by the Sooners defense. And that's where we put it now at a 7-0 ball game to start off the second quarter of play.
And it really has been both teams have been doing what they want to do against the other team's defense. Ottawa got quick game, get the ball, maybe run a draw or two. Beefeaters really run heavy. Both teams have had success offensively. Sooners have just able to capitalize.
They sling it over to the near side here, do the Sooners, and it's caught. Yards after the catch, mauling his way up the field. That's Nathan Coleman, close to the first down marker. It took Dylan Clark with a coupling of Connor Winrow to take down Coleman. And they're going to say he's, actually, about 3 yards shy of the first down. I thought he was awfully a lot closer.
Well, he was closer. You got to remember that penalty. So he got quite a few of the yards back.
Oh, that's right. I'm thinking, well, that looked a lot bigger than a 5-yard gain, but you're right. The penalty that concluded the first quarter of play.
Yeah, again, one of those where we kind of look at each other going, okay.
Well, we've also seen a half conclude on a penalty, which we didn't think was possible.
No, absolutely, yeah. But yeah, there's been a few calls here that during the year.
Coleman caught that last pass. He'll go stay out on the field, I should say, but now he's going to take over punting duties. And we'll see again, this is a kid that's averaged 42.3 yards per punt in the last couple ones. A kind of a bad snap, and he's got to kick this one into the wind. It's going to get near to the 40. The Sooners have to give that halo, and according to the officials, they did. Keegan Cardona on a bit of a 4 or 5 yard gain brings it up to the 49-yard line.
Yeah, smart heads-up play there. Ottawa aware of that, and the ball, you can definitely see on this kick how the wind's blowing on this. This is going, and it's just going to hit that wall. See how it just comes straight down? No extra carry on that at all, John. Again, good job, Beefeaters special team coverage downfield. Ottawa special team coverage downfield, respecting the halo, giving the yards.
London has 2 running backs with 500-plus rushing yards this season. LJ Dyer, 512. Taz Van Bell, 554. However, passing-wise, their quarterback over the course of the season only had 517. Go figure, they're going to run the ball through Taz Van Bell, and he's going to struggle to get about 4 yards on this play to bring up second down.
Yeah, we're going to give him about 4 or 5 yards on that. Just a straight-ahead inside power. You see the pullers. That's all they're trying to do. Tazzy does a really good job of getting low. He's definitely going to be short of that midfield stripe. Gain of 4. You're right, John.
Beefeaters have to win this game, too, or the guy that's won an All-Star 3 years in a row could be potentially playing in his final Beefeaters game.
Well, there's a number of Beefeaters who are potentially playing in their last game, and same with Ottawa as well, although Ottawa is significantly younger of a team.
So we go to LJ Dyer. Instead of Bell, it's Dyer. Dyer refusing to go down right away, got up to the Sooner 50-yard line. Will they mark his forward progress there? Because that would give him the first down.
Yeah, they're going to give him just enough for a first down by about a half a yard there. Really, see how LJ Dyer attacks that a little bit more with power inside? That's what he brings to that power running game. Taz Van Bell's much more of a I'm going to make you miss guy and get off to the races type of runner. So 2 very dynamic runners, very different styles, but both very effective.
You can hear the wind gusting across the field here at Citywide as we get a handoff to LJ Dyer. In fact, the Sooner sort of lunged on his back. Multiple reasons why I wouldn't suggest doing that. Number one, if you're the defensive player, you're actually moving the offensive player further down the field.
Yeah, so it's ended up going to be a gain of about 7 yards on that. It's pretty much the same play again, over and over and over again. They're going after that gap in the defensive line, and they're trying to outman you at the point of attack. That's all this is look for the puller coming across and follow the puller, and that's where the ball's going.
So it was a 7-0 game for London last time these two teams hooked it up around this mark, but that's when Christian Fidale of the Sooners grabbed that pick 6 to make it a 7-6 game. However, by halftime of that contest, Ron, thanks to A.J. Williamson hitting a 49-yarder, a 29-yarder, and a 41-yarder, it was a 16-6 score at halftime and ended up being a 31-6 final.
Yeah, so, Ottawa's come in here, done a good job early of kind of dictating what they want to do offensively and defensively. Beefeaters are doing what they want offensively, which is run the ball, and then take your shot.
Does Chambers take his shot here? He completed 40 of 106 passes during the regular season. This is a play action, so he is going to take a shot, Ron, but it's an incomplete pass. Trying to find Mitchell Spence on this play.
I figured it was going to be one more run because it was a first down. Anyway.
The conventional method is to run the ball on first down.
Yeah, and
especially when 2/3 of your playbook is power.
Yes, so that's I would have expected that. I don't mind the play design. There's that jet action. You're trying to get that linebacker to freeze. You should have hit the check down. He's wide open on that. The guy who's running the jet there, you check that down, you're going to get a gain of about 12 or 15 yards on that when he turns upfield.
So a 2nd and 10. Do we see Chambers take another shot, or does he hand this ball off? Yes, this time it's going to be the same thing. Chambers is going to go for a run. He got to the edge and cut back in. Beefeaters are saying he has enough for the first down, and my God, he does.
Yeah, really good job. So this is what we're talking about. They're really trying to take away that inside run. The end crashes right inside. He loses contain. Ethan Chambers is a smart quarterback, reads that very, very well, and gets basically where the end was, loses contain, and gets the first down.
His targets in the air in 2022 was Nick McKenzie with 221 receiving yards on 12 catches. He had 1 touchdown. Nigel Morris, 185 yards on 11 catches, 1 touchdown. So again, Chambers had 2 touchdowns thrown. However, we haven't mentioned yet, he had 6 running touchdowns. He's going to hand this one off to LJ Dyer off to the right side, and this sort of death by 1,000 paper cuts run offense of Snyder seems to be working on this drive.
Well, and it was working last time too, until they basically ran into a couple penalties. So, it's that slow, methodical offense. Use clock, grind on you. This is much more of a finished style of offense. And what I mean by that is when you lean on somebody playing defense, they get tired, and that's when you break those long runs.
And off to Dyer. Dyer through a gap. Dyer off of a tackle into the end zone. Touchdown, Beefeaters. LJ Dyer from about 19 yards out.
We just talked about it. You lean on a defense, you get tired. You look for that big run here. Nothing special here. It's just a straight ahead power. First man missed, second man missed, making the third and fourth dance a little bit. And a good job of finishing. Touchdown, Beefeaters, a PAT away from being tied with 9:22 left in the first half.
Something the Sooners defense was doing a superb job of was just wrapping up, waist, knees, their ankles over those first couple drives. But you saw specifically on that last play, LJ Dyer bounced off about 3 Sooners on his way into the pay dirt. As Williamson splits the fork, and with 9:22 remaining before halftime, we're tied up at 7s here at Citywide.
So, both, like I've kind of been hinting at it quite a bit, both teams have been able to do what they want to do offensively. Both teams haven't been able to finish completely. The Beefeaters threw the interception in the end zone after the turnover, taking a shot, going for the points. Ottawa has had opportunities. They've done a good job. Now, which defense can settle down here and kind of dictate to the offense, we're taking this away from you. Now it's the adjustments within the adjustments.
Ron, have you ever thought about where the name Beefeaters came from?
I actually know where it comes from.
Well, I'll tell you where it came from, partner. It didn't even come from a Londoner. It came from some 12-year-old kid in Lucan in a Name the Team contest. That kid was named Paul Rath. He named the team the Beefeaters, and as a result, he received 2 tickets to the 1975 Grey Cup, which was in Calgary, that included airfare and accommodations. Plus, he got 2 season tickets to Beefeater home games in 75.
That's awesome. I didn't know that it was named by him. I knew where the origin of the name came from. Didn't realize it was the young man from Lucan.
Yeah, 12-year-old, and what do you know? He ends up going to the 1975 Grey Cup after naming the London Beefeaters, which are right now your 2-time defending OFC champions. Tied up at 7s against Ottawa as Williamson boots this one away, and we're back to, OFC playoff football. The returner gets through a slot, gets through a man, and that's Anuk Ayanka. Hopefully I'm getting that name right, as it was him on the opening return of this game, and another healthy return there. And you still see a little bit of, let's say, conversation happening after the whistles.
Yeah.
And I doubt they're asking whose social media accounts they can join.
No one's asking for anyone's Snapchat address on that one. So definitely good job upfield. The ball didn't quite carry as far as I thought it would be on the kickoff. I figured it'd be in the goal line. A little bit short on that. But again, the ball's returned all the way to the 30-yard line. Good field position for Ottawa. Beefeaters defense needs to make a play here.
I was going to say a huge chance to switch momentum right onto the other cleat if the Beefeater defense can hold serve on this drive. Owen Cowan, your offensive rookie of the year in the OFC, takes the snap, hands this one off to Wilson. Wilson off to the left side, shrugs off of one tackle, and eventually brought down in front of Matt Schneider's bench.
Yeah, really good job. Good power play. It's just basically it's the same play. It's going to the outside there. Some teams call it more of a zone play, but you can definitely see. Look at the polar coming across there, and does a really good job of staying low. Gain of 5 yards. If you're getting 5 yards on power, why do you run anything else? It's the same analogy as always. Run the ball right until they stop you, then go left.
So let me get this straight, though. First game of the season between Ottawa and London, the very first play of the game, touchdown LJ Dyer. Then we go all the way back to September 24th here at Citywide. First touchdown LJ Dyer. And then we go all the way to this game, playoffs. First touchdown for the Beefeaters, it's LJ Dyer.
LJ Dyer's really being the
The ball comes loose. I believe a black uniform hopped onto it first at the 48-yard line.
That's 3 today. That's 3 times that the ball has been turned over, potentially turned over, that the ball's been on the ground. It's cold out. It's windy out. It's a lot cooler than we think it is out here, John, and that's what we're seeing here. The grip is getting a little bit loose with some of these players, and that's what's happening. The ball's being punched out as we see.
There's a Beefeater down.
Yeah, there's a Beefeater down on the far side. But that's 3 now. So, you've got to address ball security with your ball carriers right now.
10 degrees at kickoff. It could dip low as 7 degrees. And you're right, Ron. There's got to be a bit of a wind chill factor considering it's gusting at 30 kilometer hours constantly and as high as 45 from the southwestern direction. You really see the trees in the background kind of bending and weaving at the mercy of the wind.
Current temperature is 9 degrees. Winds are blowing about 30 kilometers an hour with a wind chill. It feels like 5 right now.
And with 7:37 in the second quarter, maybe not a big storyline. You make that in the fourth quarter, though, and you have the same scoreboard, it's a huge storyline.
Yeah, this ball security is going to be the factor in today's game.
As you say that, the Sooners stay to the run. The running back in Wilson refused to go down, even though he had big guys like Moboku and Clark, and you name it, on the Beefeater defense trying to tear him down.
Yeah, something else, though. 2 hands on that ball coming through that hole. 2 hands on that ball coming through that hole. So, again, small adjustments are being made by both these teams here. By the way, it was good to see the Beefeater. I missed the number walk off under his own power. And Ottawa with a gain of about 2 yards on that. This is a passing down. Look for that step-off screen that they've had some success with a number of times today. If you're the Beefeaters, you got to think that and possibly a double move off of that as well.
The linebacker Wolf Sim comes into this game, checking out as Powell Szymanski on that last play, a second down play for Owen Cowan. Look at the weapons to the left side. Cowan peers to the right, moves over to that left. Maybe he's going to run here. He is. He'll get out of bounds. He's awfully close to the first down marker, though. They're going to mark him a yard shy. What do you do here, Ron?
I think you go for it. Absolutely. It's playoff football. You've got to give a yard if you're the defense. You've gone for it inside your 40-yard line with 2 to go. This is definitely, I think Ottawa goes for it. You're not punting into this wind to get much field position difference.
Yeah, they're trying to get the pigskin spotted properly. If you notice, they went back a yard, then it went up a yard, and they're finally settling on, it appears to be the 52-yard line. They need to get to the 51-yard line. So back to that comment, Ron, they need about a yard, and we'll say another link in the chain. And in Canadian football, they got to give them that little safe zone between the 2 lines of scrimmage. So Ottawa trying to go on the sneak. I don't know if they got the yard there. In fact, the official on the near side is marking about a half yard of progress, which would mean a turnover on downs and Beefeater ball.
There was no push whatsoever from the offensive line for Ottawa. This is a stalemate, and it was just a straight quarterback keep. He did not get this ball.
Yeah, from our perspective, he's about a half yard shy. Although, an easy way to settle this is just to get the chain gang out there.
Which is what they're doing.
But just judging what I'm seeing right now, it's a turnover on downs. It's about a half football shy.
I think it's, you know what? You're a half. It's literally right down the line from us, John.
Yeah, we got a perfect perspective on this. We could have saved the chain gang some time.
He's a little over a half yard away. He got no push whatsoever from the offensive line, and it was a quarterback sneak.
Remember, he has to get to the 51, folks. So you see the 51. What?
No.
Okay, there we go.
I
was like, wait a minute, where did this 51 and a half stuff come from? There we go.
Yeah, no, they hadn't pulled it yet. Turn it over on downs. Big stop for the Beefeaters. 5:55 left to go first half. Let's see if Coach Schneider can capitalize on this. They really need to.
So you and I were both barking at the OFC Coach of the Year, Kevin Ling. You got to go for it here.
Yeah.
It's playoff football, but now we live in hindsight, and we know what that is, Ron. You're in a 7-7 game, and you've given your opposition the ball at midfield.
Now, you got to go for that 100 times out of 100, and you're a playoff game.
The Ron for World, maybe.
Yeah, well, and you know what? I'm going to go one better for you. If I'm Brandon Staley in the Chargers Cleveland Brown game last week, I'm kicking that ball 100 times out of 100.
So we get the ball up to midfield at the 55-yard line, I believe through Taz Van Bell. And it'll bring up second, and we'll call it 7 here with 5:25 remaining. And again, just sort of thinking about how, I don't know if the right word is lethargic or tedious or plodding, but the way this offense is manipulated by Matt Snyder, it might feel like 5 minutes and 14 seconds isn't enough time to get down the field.
Well, we went on like a 7-minute drive in the first quarter to chew up most of that first quarter clock. The Beefeaters did. Came away empty, unfortunately. Let's see if they can finish the drive. This is what you want. You want the wind at your back and be able to run the ball and show a pass. Gain of about 3 yards there, John.
Yeah, but some great defense shown by the Sooners. The big man in on the tackle was Noah Ferguson, 6'2", 300 pounds, a Sooner.
Now, if I'm Coach Snyder, I punt this ball. I know what I have in my kicker. You're going to pin them inside, possibly even get a rouge and take the lead with 4 minutes left.
So it does appear like A.J. Williamson's going out there. Remember the last time he punted the ball away, fumble, and A.J. Williamson was the one that recovered it. He, by the way, was a 2-time All-Star. He was named an All-Star as a punter and the place kicker. He also, as a result, was actually named the Alex Stasiak Memorial Special Teams Award recipient this year. So not only does he go down as the best field goal kicker in the province, he goes down as the best punter in the province, and he collects all the accolades at the end of the season.
Possibly the best kicker in the country at this.
It's blocked! The ball comes over to the near side. The loose changes are covered by the Sooners at the 54-yard line. Quentin Hodgson is the first one to jump on it. He's not, shy of these moments either. I think back to the Sooners game against the Hamilton Hurricanes back in week 3. It was actually an 85-yard fumble return touchdown by Quentin Hodgson, and that actually flipped the script. It was going to be about a 7-point lead for the Hurricanes, turned into a 7-point lead for the Ottawa Sooners, and they went on to win that game 28-21. Hodgson has this bizarre ability to show up at the right place at the right time and collect the loose change.
Yeah, again, this is just, I think it's a missed block where they just sent somebody through. Somebody whiffed somewhere along the offensive line. He came through untouched. Great job laying out, understanding where the ball was being kicked. Took it right off his foot.
They're going to hand this one off. It's not Wilson. In fact, it's number 25 out of the backfield, David Macawera. So he got more than enough for the first down. Gains about
11.
Yeah, 11.
Yeah, good gain on first down, and again, huge momentum swings. John, we talked about, what we talked about this week.
Well, an interception, a fumble, and a missed field goal in the first quarter by Beefeaters alone, and now you see another fumble here in the second quarter.
Yeah, and a block. So now, we talked about, what does Ottawa have to do to win this game? They need to make 2 or 3 special plays in this game. You know what? They're making them so far, so Ottawa's in this game.
Wilson tripped up just at the line of scrimmage. I believe that was Marcelo Da Silva in on the tackle.
Yeah, I think it was a good job. That was a get out of my way type of run here. Really good job understanding he had contained, squeezing down really nicely, and trucking up for no gain on the play.
And I got to correct myself. It was the All-Star, Willie Maboku, had 16 tackles over the course of the regular season. And he had 4 knockdowns. He got involved in that last play.
3-minute warning, Johnny.
And by the way, going back to A.J. Williamson, 49 punts over the regular season, a 33.6 average. However, out of those 49 punts, he had 2 that were blocked, and both of those are returned for touchdowns. So kind of got lucky that Hodgson, who has a fumble recovery touchdown this season, didn't take that one back to the house. Cowan, protected in the pocket, steps up, moves to the left side, kind of fade away this one to his receiver in open territory. First down and more for the Sooners as they move the chains.
Big play here again. Escapes the rush. The Sooners keep 2 into protection, and unfortunately what happens in that is you've got a deep out going across there, And with the quarterback running, the linebacker, he's put in a bind position. Do I play the run on the quarterback or do I cover the receiver? It's a pick your poison type of thing. They picked the wrong one. Easy completion, gain about 20 yards, 2:37 left, 7-7 game.
Noah Avery caught a touchdown in a 40-7 victory over the GTA Grizzlies. He had that last reception for the Sooners as Wilson puts his head down and trucks right over Connor Crozier. I know you've been calling Connor the Crusher. Well, he certainly got orange sodaed that time.
Yeah, a little bit. He's got to give it both ways. Connor's a great kid. High energy. First-year Beefeater. Really smart, gutsy kid. You know what? Got to wrap up on that, Connor. He goes, shoulder on that one.
See Karn Sadu, the defensive lineman, coming off on that last play.
It might be just to get some fresh players in there at that point, too.
So a second, and we'll call it 7 here for the Sooners. 2:12 remains before the halftime break. The Sooners, who had a 7-0 lead, are trying to reinstate a lead here as Cowan is flushed out of the pocket, trying to dipsy-doodle his way from pressure. And, he tricked about 2 or 3, but wouldn't trick Nick Stamis as the linebacker comes in and hammers him down.
Now, nowhere to run this time. He does a good job. The Beefeater pressure keeps outside contained, keeps outside leverage, has to step up into the other pass rushers, and just nowhere to go for the Ottawa quarterback. As we see the field goal unit come on, I'm not so sure about a field goal this direction, John.
A.J. Williamson, who, by the way, was 5 of 6 in field goals in the final week of the regular season against the Hamilton Hurricanes right here at Citywide Sports Park, missed a field goal from, we said 39 yards out. This one's from 32 yards out from that far hash. Same side of the field as A.J. Williamson from the first quarter. The snap and the hold is good. Nathan Coleman's boots away. This is going to be wide right. So Williamson missed wide left, and now you have Coleman missing wide right. Getting out of the end zone appears to be Tazvang Bell, though. So no damage done on either side of the scoreboard. And with 93 seconds left before halftime, we're still tied at 7s.
Yeah, and again, it's not that these kids don't have enough leg to make these 30, 40-yard field goals. It's with the way the wind's blowing and everything else. It's overcompensating for that.
Well, as soon as the ball starts to apex, we even saw it on the Coleman punt that resulted in a reach.
It just comes straight down.
Yeah, it starts to hook. Wherever the wind's blowing, all of a sudden that ball does not come down in a straight arrow. It goes wherever the wind wants to gust.
Yeah, because, if you've ever been to Citywide here before, not only does the wind blow, the wind changes direction midstream.
And if you haven't, how lucky are you? As it is Ethan Chambers out of the gun, going to take the ball and go deep. This one's underthrown, though. Great defense to come over the top. That's Keyshawn Upshot Tynes. We've already talked about him today. I believe the intended target was Mitchell Spence, but we saw that earlier. The ball, we were just talking about that. The ball apexed, lost all momentum, and started to curl wherever the wind was wanting to put it.
Yeah, and boy, oh boy, was he wide open. He covered a lot of ground. If Chambers can throw that ball a little bit more velocity and get that ball out there a little bit more, that's a touchdown the other way. He was 15 yards clear of him. And that defensive back made up that difference in no time.
Especially in the wind. It's got to be more of a, a straight arrow.
It's got to be a flatter. It's got to be a flatter throw.
So lots of motion to the right side of the field. They're going to hand this one off to L.J. Dyer, who got just clipped enough and then staggered up the field. However, while he was falling down, another black uniform hit him and a flag went flying.
Well, I think this might be – this could be against the Beefeaters. It's usually a hold from where the flag was thrown.
I mean, you're probably right because that's usually what it is.
Oh, double team block. Someone engaged high-low. Oh, against the Sooners?
No, that's pretty much what I said right off the hop.
Yeah.
L.J. Dyer got clipped along his ankles. I don't know if we'll catch it here on the replay or not. And then I believe a black uniform sort of piles on unnecessary at the end of the play. So he's already clipped up and falling there. He's on the ground now, and then a whole pile falls on top of him.
No, I don't agree with that call at all because that's just momentum of the tackle.
Well, a Buccaneers fan would disagree with you there.
And I am not a Buccaneers fan.
Well, I mean, you're not.
Yeah.
You're not a fan.
Oh, absolutely I am. Bolt up, baby.
Of a franchise, I meant. As Chambers going to take a shot deep yet again. A 50-50 ball between Nick McKenzie along with Christian Fidel, Yogi Berra style, deja vu all over again if Christian Fidel pulls that one out of the air.
Okay, that's 3 times he's thrown the ball and it's been short. 3 times Ottawa has had a better chance of receiving that ball, of intercepting that ball, than the Beefeaters receivers have. That's 3 of them. Okay?
Well, you know what? I'll give the devil credit where it's due. I've been complaining about the offense a little bit as far as being too much run-centric, but you're seeing it. You might as well stick to your bread and butter that's been winning you all these games. As once again play action, so they're not listening to us, as Chambers dipsy doodles out of the pocket, continues to evade pressure, goes to the far sidelines, throws it up in the air. That went off of the fingertips of a Sooner, and then I believe a Beefeater almost reeled it in. It's still an incomplete pass, though.
Yeah, it is incomplete. You're right. It's almost intercepted again. So that's 4 times that the passes should have been intercepted here. Chambers does a great job of scrambling. He's trying to make something happen and face the rush. But you see the Ottawa player right there, and I can't quite see his number, John.
Oh, black on black, so helpful.
Yeah. A little bit of orange trim there. I think it was number 28 that it was actually the defender who was coming across.
Once again, that would be Christian Fidel.
No, that's not 28.
I think that's 42, to be honest with you. That's the linebacker, Jared Wilkinson. And not only did he kind of lure Chambers into throwing that ball, but the second he released it, rotates back to the ball and almost makes a heck of a play. And I will say this, though. The ball wasn't intercepted. And for a brief moment, Joe Brennan, the receiver for London, actually had a shot at still catching that ball. I don't know if we can take one more look back on the replay, as unfortunately there is a Sooner down back at the 30-yard line. But watch Chambers again. Great job to evade the pressure and get to the sidelines. He's trying to tell his receiver, too, to get down the field. And to be honest with you, I think the target was actually Nigel Morris, despite the fact that the ball went a lot closer to Joe Brennan because of the defense displayed by the Sooners.
What flag did we miss here on Ottawa that is moving up? They call it late.
Unnecessary roughness on the quarterback at the end of he was mobile and running out of the pocket, ran to the far sidelines, almost got past the line of scrimmage. What are you supposed to do there?
I don't know.
Send him a Hallmark card? I hope he gets better for next game. What in the world was that?
Wow.
So it gives London life. And Pinto's into the game. So that makes a little more sense. So Chambers takes a shot at the end of the play. He's hurt. The officials see that, throw the flag, and Chambers has to sit out for 3 plays.
Okay, well, and a big run for the Beefeaters of a gain of 9. Pinto changes things up because he has he's got a high-energy motor, and he can gallop, this kid.
So Pinto takes the snap, going to hand this one off to Daz Van Bell. Van Bell zigzagging his way over to the right side. Only needs 2 yards for the first down. Got 4.5 and moves the sticks.
Yeah, first down for the Beefeaters, 44 seconds. Beefeaters, I think, if you're Coach Snyder, you're thinking field goal. You've got 1 timeout. Remember, you used that timeout early in the first quarter.
And Chambers threw 4 of 9 passing for 139 yards in that last game against the Hurricanes in the regular season before getting hurt and being replaced by Pinto. So Pinto at least has the referee blowing the play in, threw everybody off. Oh, my word. Are we playing tyke football?
No.
Feels like it out here. As we go back to the action, Ron, Anthony Pinto we've actually seen earlier this season. If you recall, they played in Brampton against the GTA Grizzlies in Week 3. Pinto came into that game, threw a 23-yard touchdown to Josh Dahlberg, and also ran for a 10-yard touchdown in that game. And I thought he did a great job of conducting the offense in Ethan Chambers' absence in Week 8 against the Hamilton Hurricanes.
Yeah.
In fact, I felt like, no slight against Ethan Chambers. It was almost like they ran the ball better through Pinto, despite, I will, with a grain of salt, it was mop-up time, and the Hamilton Hurricanes defense was gassed.
Yeah, and, there's a lot of factors that go into it, but it's also the play selection that you get with that quarterback. He's much more of a read option type of quarterback where he wants to read the edge, and he's a little bit more explosive running.
So Pinto, pressure coming, throws this one deep, has plenty on it. This one is caught. Received by Mitchell Spence. And Beefeaters fans have been waiting for that one all day, Ron. It's almost a 40-yard gain by Pinto.
And we talked about it. See how that ball came out a little bit flatter. he's got him beat. So Ottawa's playing a zone, almost like a 3 across zone, and then they're just trying to hit it in that in between the flat.
There's 20 seconds left. They gone up from the 45 to the 5. Pinto takes the snap, hands us off to Taz Vanger. It's LJ Dyer into the end zone. Flags are flying, though.
No, it is definitely, I think Ottawa lined up offside. There were flags down. This is just a great, wow, talk about 40 seconds of a real time that changes everything. Touchdown, Beefeaters.
That is a backbreaker for Sooners fans. They had a 6-0, then a 7-0 lead after the first quarter of play, and yet LJ Dyer strikes not once but twice here in the second quarter before halftime, and the Beefeaters take the lead for the first time.
So go back to the play before the touchdown, that long pass. It's almost a setup where they hit the second man coming through on that vertical route. Almost does a sit down corner concept on that, and you're trying to do is you want to leverage the DB back, which they do, and it's putting a bind on the flat defender to cover too deep. And that's exactly what happened. They found the flat zone area, and we were able to hit that. But what we were talking about, what Chambers wasn't doing, Chambers was putting a little bit more air under the ball. Pinto throws that ball much flatter. Not quite as big of an arm as Chambers does, but you see how the difference with how he threw that ball, how it carried. The wind didn't have any effect on it at all.
Given the elements, the ball actually will travel further the lower you trajectile it.
Yeah, exactly. But it was a flatter throw. It seemed to be a little bit crisper. And again, Pinto does it again. Comes in, brings the Beefeaters down for a touchdown drive.
So LJ Dyer, back-to-back jacks, if you will. He had a 19-yard touchdown with 9:22 remaining in this quarter, and now with 13 seconds remaining before halftime, he gallops in from 5 yards out, and the Beefeaters are enjoying a 14-7 lead. Now, if I'm Ottawa, I'd want Keyshawn Upshaw Tynes to return this. Instead, it's going to bounce over to, I believe, Shamar Scarrett. So Scarrett over to the left side, and he's going to have 7 seconds to work. I'd assume the Sooners will just run the ball.
Probably with the wind playing the way that it has, as we do see an Ottawa player down. John, 7 seconds left, and the Beefeaters are enjoying their first lead of the day.
And this is a London Beefeater team that handled the Sooners in the opening game of the regular season 42-14. They demolished the Quinte Skyhawks 42-6. They then demolished the GJ Grizzlies 47-7. And then they met this undefeated dynamo called the St. Clair Saints and lost back-to-back games, both 26-18 live on Beefs TV, and then the next week, 53-20 at Acumen Stadium. My word, Ron. My point, though, is you take away those 2 games against the Saints, Beefeaters have been playing perfect football. Yeah,
they've been playing really, really smart football. They're very dynamic. They're well coached. This is a really good staff. They like to run that simple power offense. Coach Snyder has a lot of success with it, but he believes in that system, and it has brought him success at every level.
Now, the Sooners, again, they lost that opening game in their home to the Beefeaters. They went on a 3-game winning streak, and then they lost 2 in a row to both St. Clair and London before getting back into the win column against the Quinte Skyhawks last week, or I guess in the last week of the regular season, 46-10. So more flags in the UN meeting on this last play. This ball is tipped up into the air. The intended target was Nathan Coleman getting a bear paw on it. Or I should say a wolf paw on it was Wolf Sim.
Yeah, 3 flags on the play. It's an illegal substitution call. They had 13 men on the field for the Sooners.
So the Sooners haven't been helping their own cause in the second quarter onward, Ron, because if you recall, both on the defensive side of the ball and even when their offense is onto the field, they've taken numerous penalty calls.
Yeah, they've taken the penalties. Both teams have taken untimely penalties. That drive was really sealed, helped with the unnecessary roughness penalty. We're assuming is a late hit on the quarterback.
This one was going against the Beefeaters, Ron.
The Beefeaters had 13 men on the field.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm going, what?
I was like, they're moving the chains forward, and it's benefiting the team. You said that too many
Yeah.
minutes. So there's 4 options to the right side. Is Cohen given enough time? He isn't. He just underhands this to Wilson and keeps the play alive. It's good enough for the first down. That was a pretty exciting way to end the first half of action here in OFC semifinal action as we see Dylan Clark and Wilson, a little talky-talk at the end of that game.
Yeah,
Okay. That'll set up the
setting the tone for the second half.
So the whistle does go in the background. It's a 14-7 game as we'll quickly go to the Nicholas Group Mortgage box score. If you recall, it was the Sooners opening it all up just 2:59 into the game. A 67-yard catch and run by Mark Webb from his quarterback, Owen Cowan. Remember, they hooked up once in the regular season. It took them less than 3 minutes to hook up for the first time in the postseason. Their kicker, and Nathan Coleman, would actually, nail a rouge with 9:01 remaining in the opening quarter of play. A.J. Williamson would not only miss a field goal with 2:24 remaining, but somehow recover a punt fumble. He also had his team fumble the ball twice and be intercepted once through Ethan Chambers. We saw Ethan Chambers get hurt in the second quarter and be replaced by Anthony Pinto. Oh, yeah. When we got into the second quarter, L.J. Dyer came back to play. A 19-yard touchdown gallop and a 5-yard touchdown gallop with just 13 seconds left before half gave the Beefeaters the 14-7 lead.
Yeah, and it's really been early. Ottawa was dictating the pace. The Beefeaters have slowly taken that back and have really dictated the pace. The wind is the factor for me. The wind is a factor. The team that has the wind at their back has scored all the points. So 21 points with the wind, no points going into the wind, including 2 missed field goals that were well in range of both these kickers.
So L.J. Dyer, who had 6 touchdowns during his 2022 All-Star campaign, picks up 2 touchdowns in the second quarter of play, nixing the Mark Webb receiving touchdown to start this contest as we have a 14-7 game for the London Beefeaters. For Ron Forwerda and the rest of the crew, my name's Jonathan Urbanowicz, and we'll have the second half of OFC semifinal action on the other side. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Citywide Sports Park here in the East End of London, Ontario for some Ontario Football Conference semifinal playoff action as the 5-3 Ottawa Sooners are taking on the 6-2 London Beefeaters. It's a 14-7 game after the first half of action thanks to two LJ Dyer rushing touchdowns in the second quarter as the Beefeaters were actually trailing this game, Ron, forward a 7-0 large in part to Mark Webb's 67-yard catch-and-run touchdown.
Yeah, and if you recall, it was just a simple step-off screen. They got blockers up front. That was kind of the game plan that we thought Ottawa would come in, get the ball wide, get to the ball to the edges, let your playmakers make a play here or there, broken tackle, and you're off to the races. From that point on, the Beefeaters defense kind of took over until their offense showed up.
So I gave you a little bit of a history lesson earlier in this game about where the Beefeaters got their name from. It actually came from a 12-year-old from Lucan, Ontario. As, again, we go to the team history, the first action for the London Beefeaters was a controlled scrimmage in 1975 against the Etobicoke Lakeshore Bears. The final score there, though, was 24-6 for the Bears. The team would lose their first ever game. That was an exhibition contest. Those same pesky Bad News Bears from Etobicoke shut them out 31-0. That game took place on July 13th, 1975. Now, a week later, though, the Beefeaters would get their first ever win in program history. It was an exhibition contest over the Peterborough Panthers, and they would win that one 41-13. That game was actually played at the Wolseley Barracks here in London, Ontario. The first ever touchdown in Beefeater history was receiver Claire Verdon catching a 62-yard TD pass from the QB, Mike 2.
Yeah, so again, it was just a great history. John always goes the extra mile above and beyond to bring us some interesting facts, some team history. The Beefeaters did defer in the first half, so they get the ball, and Ottawa has, I believe, elected to give them the win in the third quarter as well, taking the win in the fourth.
Although I will say this, we had gusty conditions over the first half of play. Maybe we get lucky in the second half, or maybe I'm just downright jinxing us, Ron, because the gusts sort of simmered down a bit over the halftime break.
Yeah, it really is. It's so weird. If you, like I said, if you've ever been to Citywide before here, it's a great facility. London does a great job of maintaining it, but it is a breezy gust. Even if it doesn't seem windy out, there's always a wind here, and it changes directions. It will come out of the north, south, east, and west at all kinds of different angles during the same game. So it's so weird here.
These two teams saw each other in Week 1 and Week 7 of OFC action. Back in Week 1, after that 42-14 loss, the Sooner owner, GM, and head coach, who's also your 2022 OFC Coach of the Year, Kevin Ling, said, in despite of the loss, after we played London, there was a belief in our team that we have a place in this league, and we can play with these teams. The team believes it, our coaches believe it, I believe it. It's just a matter of continuing to focus on that. And as they went on to, go on a 3-game winning streak and now find themselves in the OFC semifinals, they're literally a second half, performance away from finding themselves in the 2022 OFC finals.
Yeah, so they have done a great job. Coach Ling has done a really, really great job of resurrecting what was a power in Ontario for a decade. Really bringing them back to life, and great look. I love the all-black uniforms with the orange trim.
We saw Nathan Coleman try and attempt a field goal, hit a PAT, or miss a PAT, I should say, and punt the ball away. But it's our boy, Jared Musavali, on the kickoff right now to start off your second half of football. Keegan Cardona has a little bit of trouble picking this one up off of the 20, and then he'll be smothered in between the hash marks. I believe that's Jonathan Aoud in on the tackle.
Yeah, it takes it down to about the 25-yard line, so a really good return. Beefeaters in plus territory here, John. I'd expect a lot more run as we see Chambers coming back on the field.
Yeah, that's a good sign after he was knocked out of the game, and there was, a 15-yard roughing the passer penalty going against the Sooner defense as a result of that play. We saw Pinto, though.
No, Pinto's back in.
Okay, so scratch everything I said. Thanks, Ron.
Sorry.
Anyways, so we go back to Pinto, who, let's face it, took over for Chambers and led the charge there, especially in the dying minute of the opening half that led to that LJ Dyer scamper from 5 yards out with just 13 seconds left before halftime. So Pinto hands the ball off, and like a speeding bullet up to the 35-yard line and good enough for the first down is LJ Dyer.
Yeah, just a simple, just almost like a counter play on that. Really great job blocking at the point of attack. Good finish by LJ Dyer, and a solid run. Good momentum to start the first play of the second half.
When they beat the Sooners 42-14 in the opening game of the regular season, LJ Dyer had a 105-yard kick return touchdown plus 2 rushing touchdowns. Last game of the regular season between these two teams, he had a rushing touchdown, although he's getting swallowed up in the backfield here by a cornucopia of black uniforms, and he'll be stymied for a loss. But going back to my point, he's got multiple touchdowns in this game. So if I add my math, okay, he's got 6 touchdowns this season alone against the Sooners. I'm sure Ottawa doesn't want to see a number 3 on the field anymore.
Probably not, and he's really being the difference maker in this game as we see a quick substitution on the stick crew of all things happening right now.
And we'll have to stay tuned to see if Ethan Chambers does come back into this game, as it is Anthony Pinto leading the charge, handing it off to, once again, LJ Dyer, and he'll gain at least 3 or 4 yards on this affair.
Yeah, he get good gain on the play, but it's not going to be enough after the sack, the tackle for a loss. He's going to be short from about 6 yards here.
So that
good stop by Ottawa.
Should bring out your Alex Stasiak Memorial Special Teams Award recipient and A.J. Williamson, who again had 49 punts over the course of the regular season, 1,646 yards over those 49 occasions, and that's an average of 33.6 yards per punt. But if you recall, he had one blocked earlier today, and the fumble was recovered by Sooners' Quinton Hodgson. So a bit of a high snap. Williamson will roll off to his right side and gets this one away with ease. I believe that's Upshot Tynes. Actually had it bounce off the carpet, and you called this earlier in the year when it went undetected. That time the official does a great job of seeing it. His knee's down when he possessed that ball, so the play's dead.
Yeah, the play was dead again.
But a couple times this season, the plays continued, and you've pointed on the replay being, whoa, wait a minute. His knee's down. That can't continue.
That's a dead ball. That's a dead ball. Like a few times this year, I was kind of like, what are you guys doing? Like, someone's going to get hurt doing that.
And I know it would take a bit of a miracle, but still the Sooners are, technically just 3 wins away from a national final game. They've won 4 national championships over the course of their history. 74, 79, 84, and most recently in 1992. Remember, they actually split away from the CJFL and moved to the Quebec Junior Football League, where they won 3 Manson Cup championships before joining the CJFL again in 2009. So we get a bit of trickery here from Ottawa. Wilson thought about throwing it, gets into the swamp though, and it's the Belleville native Dylan Clark helping to mop him up with his teammate Willie Maboku.
Yeah, I don't know who he was trying to throw it to because there's no receiver downfield.
Yeah,
I was kind of looking
pump
there.
Fakes there and goes, there's nobody downfield.
Yeah, there's absolutely, he's looking, you're right, he's pumping. But he was engaged in the block.
Well, yeah, so if I'm looking down on my paper here, that's Noah Avery, who has 1 big reception so far in this game, but it looks like he should have separated there. Instead, he looks confused and goes, I'll start blocking. That looks like that was the target for Wilson to throw to, and it just didn't come to fruition.
Yeah, quite possible on that.
Cowan has a man in motion. That's Richard Graham from the left to the right side of the line. Pressure coming from the Beefeaters. Cowan protected. Cowan stepping up in the pocket. Looks like he's going to go for a run. Tackled from behind. The ball does squirt loose. They're going to say he was down on the ground first. Nick Samus was in on the tackle, and he immediately was pointing to the referee. That's a live ball. That's a live. Well, no, it hit the ground.
No, he was clearly down on that. But again, look at him scraping across from his linebacker position. Good rush coming in here from the Beefeaters. Beefeaters getting pressure with 4. Dylan Clark forcing them to step up. And look at the finish from the linebacker. He's had himself a whale of a game and a great year for the Beefeaters as well.
Last time these two teams saw each other in OFC playoff action was the return year to the league from the Quebec League for the Ottawa Sooners. That was back in 2009. In fact, the Sooners won that game 24-10. They'd win the OFC in the next contest, but would lose in the national semifinal to the Edmonton Wildcats. So remember, Jared Musavali had the kickoff to start the second half. It's Nathan Coleman, though, going back to punt this one away. Averaged 42 yards per punt last week of the regular season, I should say, against the Quinte Skyhawks. Keegan Cardona receives this back at the 35-yard line, and he'll be lucky if he goes anywhere. The Sooner almost had him in a pro wrestling German suplex. That could have been nasty.
Yeah, if you, talking about the Buccaneers earlier, if you're Tom Brady on that, you're definitely getting a roughing the passer call.
By the way, did you see Tom Brady's tweet earlier that showed the amount of games he's played per roughing the passer calls? And it's actually Allen of the Buffalo Bills that subsequently gets way more roughing the passer calls per games played than the GOAT, Tom Brady.
Yeah, and it's just those stats like that, when people pull those out, they're kind of silly, but just for the record, it was not
Tom that brought it out.
Yeah.
That was the more peculiar part about it, but,
he's going through some things. Giselle's taking him for a little bit of money.
Oh, you know all about that, Ron.
No, I don't.
That's right. He had no money to take.
there was nothing to take.
Oh, yeah, there's a football game going on. There's a 14-7 game thanks to LJ Dyer's 2 touchdowns. And I still think if you're Ottawa, where's that screen? Was that what they were trying to do with Wilson? That screenplay maybe that they hooked up with Mark Webb?
Yeah, I don't know if what they were trying to do is we see Pinto still in.
Yeah, drive the Pinto all the way to the finals maybe. This one gets up to the 40-yard line on the ground attack. Again, the Beefeaters are really pro-run offense. They had 2,654 yards totally in the regular season. Out of that 2,600-plus yards, 1,973 of which came on the ground.
Yeah, they're predominantly a run-first team, and they don't hide it. They don't hide behind it. They don't try to sugarcoat it. They're going to tell you what they're going to do.
Ethan Chambers had 517 of the 717 passing yards. That means between Pinto and his 3 backups, they threw 200 yards in mop-up time as fighting up to the first down marker, and, a little bit of a collision at the end of that play. Looks like Taz Van Bell, your offensive player of the year at the running back position, moves the chains.
Yeah, moved the chains, needed 5, got about 6 on that, as we see LJ Dyers coming on to the game, and they're really good finish. And again, this is what the Beefeaters like to do. They want to establish that run. It's almost like we want to break your spirit.
And remember, the Sooners were shut out in the second half the last time here at Citywide Sports Park. They were trailing 7-6 early in the second quarter. They were trailing 16-6 at the halftime break and ended up losing 31-6 as LJ Dyer goes in to the black hole, as I'm referring to it, Ron, and gains maybe 3 yards if he's lucky.
Yeah, just a straight-ahead power play. That's all this is. Almost a man block across.
He's like the sun being absorbed by the black hole galaxy.
Yeah.
Watch how many black uniforms start to swallow him up and move him in the wrong direction.
Yeah, so gain of 3.
And one thing I'll just say right out of the bat, we didn't talk about this in the first half, bus legs. Pretty excuse to have for a team like Ottawa that has to travel, especially when you're going through the GTA, 8+ hours of driving. Yeah. They shot out of the gate to a 6-0 lead, and it was 7-0 at one point. Pinto rolling, or I apologize, it actually went to Taz Van Bell, and I didn't think you could tackle like that these days, and yet, coming away with it, Christian Fidel sends Taz Van Bell down to the grass here at the 53-yard line. But if we watch it here on the replay, I mean, he did grab lower on the jersey, I guess. Yeah, sorry, that's on the numbers. That is a clean tackle. I thought
clean.
It was in and around the collar.
Yeah, so, what we're talking about, we both kind of looked at it when it was happening live, and I was like, ooh, I don't know about this one.
Because you can whiplash a guy pretty bad doing that.
Yeah, and that's the horse collar. That's like the Michael Irvin rule that you can't come inside the cylinder.
But he just had a fist of number 2 and just went, you're coming down with me. That was actually a smart play.
Yeah, and Captain David Legg was over talking to the officials afterwards as well.
Williamson narrowly has this one blocked as the Sooners fumble the ball. It's still loose, picked up by the London Beefeaters, and he'll be just shy of the end zone. That's Austin Badger. Right place, right time. London ball, London ball. They're on the doorstep of the Sooners end zone. Twice in this game, the Sooners have had, the ball literally go down the field on them, and they'll right back into London's possession.
So this is the second big play by the Beefeaters on special teams today. This is what it comes down to win these type of games. Who can make that play on specials? And the Beefeaters are up 2-1 in that aspect. Boy, oh boy, it was close to having possession down there, but he never completely possessed the ball, is what the officials were saying. Beefeaters are back in business. Look for Pinto to pull this ball sooner or later and get around the edge. I'm not saying, I'm just saying.
Pinto looking over to Snyder, and he gives them last-second instructions. Flags go flying, a handoff to Dyer. Dyer looking for the hat trick. No indication from the officials just yet. He's shy of the goal mark.
I think Ottawa's going to be lining up offside again, which has been a common theme as we're getting inside the...
Which is odd that time, Ron, because to be honest with you, it was Pinto in the white uniforms that gave the body language of confuddledness. It wasn't the black like Sooners are ready to ball out on that play. It looked like Pinto and the rest of his offense were looking at his bench going, well, is everything okay? Is this the play that we want? What do we got for personnel? And yet the flag's picked up, Ron.
Really?
Yeah, flag was just straight up picked up.
Okay.
So we get a 2nd and goal here. Pinto hands this one off to Dyer. Dyer off to the left side. Touchdown.
Again. So Ottawa's lining up offside. It was the interior lineman that was lining up. I think he was lining up right over the center who's offside on this. But anyway, it is offside called against the Schooners. Penalty declined. LJ Dyer's number 3 on the day. Touchdown, Beefs.
I mentioned it time and time again. I'm sure Sooner fans listening to this are getting sick of hearing it. The guy had 3 touchdowns, including a 105-yard TD in the very first game of the regular season. He had a touchdown, in the last game against the Sooners here at Citywide Sports Park. And this is a guy in LJ Dyer that, over the last couple of games, is a multiple touchdown threat regardless of the opponent.
He's almost taken over more of their ball carrying duties, being the workhorse on this team. Now again, Tazzy has been battling an ankle for a couple weeks in there, but LJ Dyer's really established himself as the lead back for this run game for the Beefeaters.
So remember, the last time these two teams hooked it up back in 2009, 13 years ago, it was a 24-10 final for the Ottawa Sooners to advance to the OFC final, and yet with 7:17 remaining here in the third quarter, it's 21-7 for the Beefeaters.
That was a big touchdown because you've taken the moment.
It goes back to that fumble though, yeah. Ron, because Ottawa literally is plexiglass bursting themselves at this point.
Yeah, they really are, and it's unfortunate because they came in with they started this game with all the momentum in the world, and I'm telling you, body language wise, they look very, very different at this point of the game than
they were controlling the narrative up until even the halftime break, despite the fact that LJ Dyer got that scamper with 13 seconds out.
For about the 7-minute mark of the second quarter, the Beefeaters I felt slowly started taking over this game, and it really picked it up. And now that next score, it's huge.
And recall, this has all been done underneath the general of Anthony Pinto. Ethan Chambers was hurt, as this is an excellent return close to the far hash mark. That's Keyshawn Upshot Tynes on the return. He's had a couple healthy ones today, and this one all the way up to the 35.
Yeah, great return to the 35-yard line. Just straight up field, make a couple guys miss, get a couple blocks along the way. Ball drives down, almost over his head. He catches that 1-2 yards deep. There's the first man missed. There's the second man. Good speed, good acceleration, down to about the 34-yard line. First down Sooners. They need to put together a drive here. They have to.
20 minutes time, the other OFC semifinal action will take place between the Hamilton Hurricanes and the St. Clair Saints. That takes place at Acumen Stadium. And then 9 o'clock our time, or 5 o'clock Pacific time, you get a true doozy in the CJFL, as it's the defending champs in the Langley Rams taking on the Okanagan Sun, as we get Mark Webb on a runaround, getting stymied, though, by Connor Winrow.
Yeah, there's just a straight jet sweep. The Beefeaters to the wide side. The Beefeaters do a good job of outflanking him. They catch it right away. Look at how they come downhill there. Nowhere to go for that jet sweep. That is all based on getting leverage. We call it a race to the hash. Get to the numbers. Run the 200. He wasn't going to turn up the field on that one.
2:59 into this game. It was that gentleman, though, Mark Webb, who went on a 67-yard catch run for the opening score of the game. Although, if you're a Sooner fan, you're starting to get a little creeped out here with 6:08 remaining in the third quarter of play. Remember, the Sooners were shut out in the entire second half of action last time they visited the Forest City. So a high snap. Cowan throws it to Wilson. Wilson on the reception. Sidesteps a tackle from Powell Szymanski, but he tried to stay on his feet and as a result, it's Kyle Shea in on the tackle.
Man down, a couple men down for the Sooners, unfortunately. So I was surprised that they haven't gone to this because we saw them have some success with this earlier in the season, that screen game, and it's been really effective for them. Gain of about 5 on that play, John. Bring up third down as we see. I think it's the punt team coming out here for the Sooners.
It's a difficult position for them to be in with 5:45 remaining here in the third quarter of play. They essentially, well, like you said, would need points on this drive to hold serve. That didn't happen, and I hate to say this, you start to feel the game slipping away a bit, knowing that in the first 2 contests, the Beefeaters outscored the Sooners by a mere score of 73-20.
Yeah,
exactly right.
Yeah, so you need to make a play if you're Ottawa here, and you need to make it really soon. Not that you're counting possessions yet, but clock is not on your favor as we are at 5:34 left in the third quarter.
Nathan Coleman awaiting the long snap. Watch out for Keegan Cardona around the 35-yard line. It's a fake by Ottawa. Something was in the water as it's Richard Graham in on the carry. Graham at least has the first down up past midfield. They'll mark him at the 54-yard line of the Beefeaters.
And Moboku absolutely comes up and hammers them and takes the worst of that on there. But we were both kind of going, why they're slow? Why is it so slow?
Yeah, I thought they were almost going to take a time count violation.
Yeah,
direct snap to Richard right here.
They're making sure everything's all set, and then all of a sudden they flared that extra guy out late. So I'm not sure what's going on with that one. So they flared the extra guy out there late, and that was kind of the tip that something else was going on there. But you know what? Not surprised that they did something, but great job from the Sooners staying alive here. They've got to capitalize. They need some scores.
No, you're supposed to pick up on that, Ron. You dropping the ball here in the postseason, man.
Sorry, not sorry.
Coughing into the mic, robbing old people. What don't you do on the airwaves, Ron?
Apparently give good information.
Hey, a good broadcaster once told me a broken clock gets it right twice in a day. There,
I've heard that. I've heard that twice today, actually. So Crozier with the tackle for a loss for a tackle over a short gain, actually.
Fantastic job by the Sooners, though. You mentioned it. They had to do something, and to be honest with you, that caught me off guard, and it certainly caught the Beefeaters defense off guard because Richard was able to move the chains. Owen Cowan trying to take advantage on this high snap. It's actually Richards in the Wildcat. He tried to get rid of it. The officials blew it down from forward progression before he did try and shot put it out of his hand foolishly. But maybe even more important for Sooners fans, it was Richard Graham at the helm.
Yeah, and I was all of a sudden.
I was calling him Graham Richard for a long time.
Yeah, we both were kind of like, wait a second, there's a new quarterback in there, and I was trying to pick up what was going on that. So they're trying to go Wildcat, emptied the playbook. Well, you used your fake last time. I think you got to punt it on this one, unfortunately, John.
Although I will say this, Graham Richard goes right into the same spot he was last time on the fake.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'll say this, though. I'm with you. They got to punt this one away. You get caught twice on the same play. That'll be a shame on the Beefeaters, not the Sooners.
That would not end well for the.
You see them going into protection here, trying to give Coleman the real estate to get this one away. Coleman, mind games though, takes the low snap, thought about going for a run maybe, and we'll boot this one down the field. That's Keegan Cardona as there's a flag back at the 55. Possible holding coming against the Sooners here.
Well, it's thrown right away, so I don't know if somebody lined up offside or what. Or did they have an end?
Well, the flag's thrown then.
Yeah, so I'm not sure that they had an end on that. So waiting to see the call here from the officials as we have 3:24 left to go, third quarter. Yeah, no end. Beefeaters or Ottawa didn't have an end on there, so I think that they're going to decline this penalty. No, we're going to move it back 5. That's right, because it's a.
And they're going to force Nathan Coleman to punt it again.
Yeah. That's exactly it. So, and the wind has really died down now all of a sudden as well. So, just as I say, that gust comes up. So, why not?
The Ottawa Sooners were giving back to the community in a time of need. The Sooners delivered the results over their Thanksgiving food drive to the Caldwell Family Center in Ottawa, which works to reduce the impact of poverty in the city. In total, over $2,000 worth of food items was donated to the Center Food Bank ahead of the Thanksgiving weekend. The items were collected by both Sooner players and coaching staff. Owner, president, head coach, and your OFC Coach of the Year, Kevin Ling, would say that the food drive is about giving back and supporting their neighbors. Quote, in the end, it will end up helping people in our communities, many of which the players grew up in. The Caldwell Family Center serves over 500 people each week through their healthy breakfast and lunch programs, as well as their food bank. And to be honest with you, for a junior football program, that's what these are, the CJFL, not the CFL, you'd like to see a lot more of that happening within these programs. So kudos to the Sooners.
Yeah, great for them. You know, again, trying to establish themselves as a pillar in the community. It's great to see the effort that in. So penalty was accepted, so they moved it up 5 yards rather than having them re-kick it. Just getting back to
and
football.
Pinto is going to go for a run, trying to get to the near sidelines. A flag goes flying, and Pinto's hauled down at the 30.
Yeah, I think you're going to have a hold here against the Beefeaters.
That was an interesting tackle choice by Christian Fidel. He almost welcomed in with a bear hug and fell backwards.
Well, you know,
see how he just falls backwards and goes, you're coming with me.
Yeah, and again, Pinto's such a fast runner, again, different than Chambers, who's the, you know, gets a lot more momentum, a little bit taller, a little bit lankier. Pinto is quite fast when he gets the momentum going.
So I'll throw this out there, though. In Week 8, last week of the regular season, we saw Pinto take over for Chambers, and, you know, again, it was mop-up time. Hamilton was tired. Kind of a meaningless game standings-wise, but it looked like the offense was a little more fluid under Pinto. Well, here today, they were trailing 7-0. In fact, it was a 7-7 ball game when Chambers got hurt. Pinto takes over. It's 21-7, and there's still a chance for the Beefeaters to add to that. So getting to my point, long-winded and all, Ron, what do you do if you win here today and you go into the finals? Is there some quarterback controversy coming?
Well, you get my answer after this play, John.
Well, if Pinto gets a touchdown here, I'll have your answers. Pinto is going to take a shot deep. Instead, he's intercepted, and that will be Keyshawn Upshaw Tynes trying to go back the other way. Has a chance, and if it wasn't for the great efforts of Jonathan Corbett coming over from the backside, he just saved a potential pick six out of Pinto's hand.
Yeah.
So I think I got my answer from you, Ron.
It was going to be that regardless of. No, it was going to be that regardless. You know, Ethan Chambers is your quarterback. That's the guy that you.
There's a Beefeater right at the goal line.
That's 24 who made the tackle.
So he put his body on the line, then Jonathan Corbett, the 6-foot defensive back, and again, saving the would-be pick six from Upshaw Tynes. I don't know if we can get one more replay look on this or not.
I think he just gets rolled up on the end.
It's not necessarily a bad thrown ball, but Upshaw Tynes does the right thing. He's the only one that adjusts to it. No white uniform bothers looking back. And in fact, it's actually Jonathan Corbett might have been the intended target. He's the one that saves his own bacon going back on the ball.
Yeah, you know, and again, really good hustle play, but we talked about Ottawa needed to make a stand, needed to make a play. Boy, oh boy, did they just make a play, and a big return down inside, I'm going to say about the 7 or 8 yard line. Is that about correct?
Yeah, not only are they in the red zone, I think they're first and goal from the 7 or 6 yard line.
So Ottawa has got to capitalize on this gift of an opportunity here. But to my point, Ethan Chambers is your quarterback, and in my opinion.
And let's get back to that in just a moment, Ron. But what I'm going to throw out there is why isn't Ottawa having more of an elongated conversation right now, knowing that this is sort of an unofficial timeout? Jonathan's trying to get up on his own feet, and I think they're going to try and carry him all the way across the field. So you got another 30-plus seconds here to actually tell your team, hey, what do I want to see out of you over these next 3 plays?
They know what they're doing. They have something that they have called, ready to go, something that they believe in. Good to see him coming up off his own power, the Beefeater player.
And going back to your Ethan Chambers comment, the guy had 369 rushing yards, 6 rushing touchdowns. However, he's a little more beaten and bruised these last 2 contests for the Beefeaters. That might take away his run ability. Well, then you look at his passing, 38% pass completion. He only had 517 yards, 2 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. So again, I bring up the Pinto question.
Yeah, and I know that, and it's the question that everybody likes to ask, but he's your quarterback. He's been your guy all year. He's been the leader for your team. He's been the steadying force. I think that you could see a mixture of maybe both quarterbacks in a little bit here. Not sure.
So Ottawa wanted to get the play going, and the Beefeaters are still pointing out that Jonathan was trying to get off the field. The whistle has blown, and we're back into the action. It's Owen Cowan. Cowan rolling off to the right side. Has a man. This ball is deflected away. Just getting a piece of it that time was Nick Samus, the linebacker.
Yeah, the Beefeaters knew something was up, and they had the perfect defense. Everybody covered. I think they're trying to hit the guy at the back of the end zone.
I was going to say, though, I don't know why this ball isn't thrown towards the back of the end zone. That could have been intercepted.
Yeah, because he was going to be intercepted if he threw it to the back of the end zone here. So you see the out route happening. He's got double coverage there.
You throw it to that back corner on the near side there, and there's nobody going to catch it but a black uniform. But you got to put the ball there first. So we'll see with 2:20. They listen to Coach Urban over Coach Ferrorda over this next play.
Most people do.
So we hand it off to Wilson, of all people, and he'll be smothered up in the backfield. Dylan Clark. How is that not a penalty? That would get called in the NFL. You can't go in the guy's face and flex off like that.
No.
That's unsportsmanlike, and yet the official right there let it go. Whoa.
Oh, yeah.
You can't do that. You really can't do that, and yet they just let it slip.
So, I don't know. The field goal unit is on here. I'm not sure, about that. You can't.
Yeah, you
cannot
can't
do
taunt
that
towards the player. You just can't do it. And
they're upset about it. There's some Ottawa players who are steaming on the sideline right now.
Listen,
do
I think it's a foolish penalty and a bit of a PC culture type thing? Absolutely. But the fact that it is a rule and you can't do it and he just did, kind of boggles your mind a bit.
So 1:39 left. The Sooners appear to be going for it here,
John.
John.
There's 99 seconds left here in the third quarter of play. I was going to say I think it's foolish to go for the field goal at this point because when are you going to find yourself deep in the red zone like you are right now? This is a huge play. The blitz is coming. Cowan's going to have to get rid of it, and he does. Has the man open. Touchdown Sooners! With 1:27 remaining here in the third quarter of play, it's Cowan firing a dart to the far sidelines, and the Sooners are back in it.
Sooners are back in it, and they're lucky that they're not getting a bench call because a lot of players came on the field there to celebrate here. So really good job there. This is just that simple out route. It is so hard to cover in the Canadian game because especially from that position, you have to cover inside and outside leverage. He gives an inside look and then hammers it to the out, and a great job. The ball is delivered on time and just fantastic. The Beefeaters, the interception, Sooners capitalize on it. First points in the second half in London this year for the Sooners.
Nathan Coleman going out for the PAT. Remember, he had his first one blocked. This time it's good. So with 1:21 remaining in the third quarter, the Ottawa Sooners find themselves just 7 points down in this OFC semifinal action. I don't know if we have the ability to look back on that touchdown just one more time, as again, it was Owen Cowan. Look at this dart. First of all, sort of lacks coverage there out of the Beefeater and Jordan Wright, a guy that had 4 interceptions in the regular season, and the Sooner receiver just grabbed that ball away.
Yeah, it's just simple. It's just a simple hook. I thought it was the out that they ran. It seemed to be just a simple hook. So, it's all they're doing is understanding the spacing that's going on there. So, a great job by Ottawa. They saw something and went after it. The Sooners, they used their fake punt. They did everything they could to keep the drives going and everything else. And wow, so we got a ball game now.
The last game of the regular season for the Sooners, they absolutely demolished the Quinte Skyhawks at Loyalist College 46-10. They had 3 rushing touchdowns and a defensive interception touchdown. Their lone receiving touchdown came from the guy that just caught the ball there, Devin Kacinda, who caught a touchdown in the last game of the regular season, has one here in the postseason, and it's a 21-14 game.
20-14, but big return here coming up for the Beefeaters. Gets it beyond the 40-yard line to the 42. So really great job. Good return. A little bit of a short kick for the Sooners that seemed to get hung up in that wind. which seems to have dissipated a little bit, but a good job getting to the edge, good coverage, and again, really good momentum for the Beefs. They've got to put a drive together, use up the rest of this clock, and start using some of that fourth quarter clock as well.
And I like to call Cardona Salt Bay, because when the other team is wounded and hurt and gashing and bleeding out, Salt Bay comes around to sprinkle a little in on the wounds. He had a 2-yard touchdown run in the last game against the Sooners with 58 seconds left to make it the 31-6 score. Oh yeah, he had a 50-yard plus gallop in the game against the Hamilton Hurricanes in the last week of the regular season. As this play continues onward to the far side, first down and many more, a gain of about 23 yards for the Beefeaters in front of their bench.
Yeah, just a straight run to the outside as we see the Beefeaters offensive line indicating the first down. Here we go, just getting the ball to the edge. That's LJ Dyers with an explosion coming through there as we see the first down being pointed on the replay.
We haven't even given credit yet to the Bill Press Community Service Award winner. That's the offensive guard, Kevin Ricard, for these Beefeaters. In fact, the right guard, I should say, has taken every snap from that position in 2022 as Pinto hands this one off. Refusing to go down right away as Taz Vang Bell.
Yeah.
We got another flag flying at the end of this one.
Yeah, this one I thought was, because I thought Tazzy was out, and they spun him. It was definitely, this is what they called in the first half against the Beefeaters, against the Sooners, against the Beefeaters. This time the Sooners do it again. It's that late throw out of bounds is what they're calling. It's the unnecessary roughness. So it's going to move up 15 yards there. And the Beefeaters, in a matter of seconds, have flipped the field again.
I was going to say, both teams are guilty of turning over the ball.
Yeah.
Both teams are guilty of taking foolish penalties. But for both teams, it's the timing of all this stuff that's been so crucial. Even when you think momentum's fully slipping into one side of the sail, all of a sudden, like you said, it moves into the other.
Yeah, and really one of the things is this is a young Ottawa team that a lot of returning players next year, a lot of graduating Beefeaters team, a little bit of composure is being showed, I think, here from the Beefeaters.
So Pinto out of the gun hands it off to Taz Vang Bell, but great job by the defensive line of the Sooners to swallow him up.
Yeah, just nowhere to go on that time. They hit the A-gaps and able to collapse it.
And just want to go back to the Kevin Ricard thing, the Bill Press Community Service Award winner. This is a guy that is a manager at a fast food joint, volunteers his time at the local high school and local junior football scene. Yeah. And then, like I said, played every snap at right guard, which isn't an easy position to do that, Ron, in 2022. And that's why he was able to grab that Bill Press Community Service Award.
Yeah, really good representative of the future of sports. They draw him offside.
The Sooners jump. I thought they got back, though, before. Last time I checked, you still have to snap the ball, though, don't you?
Yeah, but I thought
you could jump. You could just, as long as you get back and set in time before the ball is snapped.
If you make contact, it's over.
That's true. That's true. But I didn't see contact.
So I don't know if someone made contact on the interior on this or not. Could have been the linebacker.
That's a linebacker slipping in there.
Yeah.
But even that, it must have been by a whisker.
Yeah, yeah. So again, it's the free 5 yards.
So barring another penalty, Ron, potentially the final play of this third quarter, Beefeaters have a 21-14 lead. Can they add to it here? Pinto to Dyer, who's already got 3 touchdowns on the day, splints through the line, close to the first down marker. And that should conclude the third quarter of play. Yeah,
I think it's going to get about a yard or two beyond the first down, depending on where the spot was. Really, really close. LJ Dyer, just that straight ahead power play. They're going to check it out. I think they're going to mark him short.
He's short of the first down, but now they got to go, about 90 yards the other way and flip sides of the field. So that'll allow us to go to the Nicholas Group Mortgage Broker box score. Remember, after the first quarter of play was a 7-0 game for the Sooners. A 67-yard TD catch from Mark Webb, as well as a rouge by their kicker Nathan Coleman. You couple in a missed field goal, an interception, and a fumble by the Beefeaters offense, you got a 7-0 game for Ottawa early. But then all of a sudden it was the LJ Dyer show in the second quarter. A 19-yard touchdown followed by a 5-yard touchdown with just 13 seconds left before halftime was able to give the Beefeaters a 14-7 lead. A lead they did not have under Ethan Chambers, but after he got hurt and replaced by Anthony Pinto, they were able to grab. We go into the second half of action. Well, LJ Dyer, try and tell him that. He continues his great performance with a third rushing touchdown of the game, his 6th touchdown of the season against the Ottawa Sooners. And then, well, the Sooners finally responded with 1:21 remaining here in the third quarter, as it was a 7-yard touchdown pass, a beautiful one to Devin Kacinda, who actually evaded Jordan Wright. Why is that so important? Well, Wright had a team-high 4 interceptions over the course of the regular season.
So, flipping ends, one of the offensive linemen, I think, slipped and pulled something.
That's David Legg, too. That's not just any offensive
No,
lineman.
that's not David, is it? 66?
Yep. It's number 66. That's David Legg.
That's a big loss.
That's what I was insinuating.
Oh, boy, because there's your center, and there's your super senior as well. I think David Legg has taken more snaps for the Beefeaters than any other player in team history, if not really, really close to it.
This is still massive.
Field goal.
On third down, too. Third down in inches, Ron, and you're kicking a field goal here?
Well, again, to go up 10 with the wind at your back now.
Okay. So it allows...
Or no, the wind in you're trying to get the points when you can, because Ottawa's got the wind, sorry.
Williamson splits the fork with ease, and just 13 seconds into the fourth quarter, the Beefeaters now have a 10-point lead, 24-14.
Well, see, and the significance of that is it's a 2-score game. So, no matter how you slice it, you've got to get 2 scores now.
Maybe we'll take one more look back at the A.J. Williamson field goal there, as this was a chip shot compared to some of the ones we've seen him nail on this field, including a 49-yarder, which was as long as one of the season.
But watch how this hooks at the end here. We're talking about the wind's kind of died a little bit. See how that ball was being pushed to the right this time? Now it's coming to the left. It is such a tricky spot here. And again, Ottawa doesn't, they don't want to give up the points, obviously, but they get the ball at the 35-yard line, and they get really, really good starting field position, get to indicate the hash that they want it on. So here we go, Ottawa, you need to get a score of some sort, and you need to get a stop following, because now you have to start looking at, you have 2, maybe 3 possessions left. You have to capitalize on all of them.
Cowan has 3 weapons to the right side, fires it over to that right side, an incomplete pass. The whistle didn't go right away, and for a brief moment, I think the Beefeaters thought that was a live ball.
I thought it was a live ball, too.
Well, if he throws this behind him, it would be a live ball.
That's really close. That's really, really close to a live ball.
That's Music City Miracle territory.
Absolutely. That's absolutely a backwards pass on that.
Let's see from where he releases it, fellow. He releases it from the 29, and it goes up to the 30. Last time I checked, 29.
No, it doesn't. It goes to the 28.
Nah, come on, Ron. Let's go here.
It's behind the line.
That's behind. Oh, boy.
I think only one of us has their prescription up to date here, fellas, and it's not YouTube. So right.
No, my glasses broke last night.
Yeah, well, so did your brain.
Oh, that was last weekend. Or excuse me, that was 2 weekends ago.
14 minutes away, though, from an OFC final. Remember, this is your 2-time OFC champions.
This is a cramp. He pulled his hammy. He pulled out his hamstring right away.
So the Sooner, unfortunately, down in front of us. Looked like he was going to get up, but then wisely just sort of laid on the ground, waiting for the cramp to go away.
Right in front of us there. So
going back to what I was talking about, 2-time defending OFC champions. Last year, the Beefeaters finished 6-2. They lost twice to the St. Clair Saints, go off to Windsor at Acumen Stadium, pull out a miracle on a walk-off rouge, and capture their second straight OFC championship. 2022, they finished 6-2. Only 2 losses. St. Clair Saints, they win this one, and if Hamilton loses, well, that game just kicked off about 5 minutes ago between the Hurricanes and the Saints, but all the bets on the money line I see in Vegas are going St. Clair's way, but if Hurricanes somehow pulled out the upset, well, then London will host the OFC Finals against the Hurricanes. However, if everything's right as rain as we expect it to be, London will have to go back down to the City of Roses, and for a 3rd consecutive season will try and grip the title away from the St. Clair Saints.
And for the 3rd season in a row, the St. Clair Saints will try to be the Ontario representative
While
and
being
host
undefeated during the regular season.
and potentially host the 1v2 matchup between the Okanagan Sun and those St. Clair Saints. But there's got a lot of football left to be played there.
Coleman boots this one away. Keegan Cardona lets this one skip off the carpet. The Sooners back off. It allows a Beefeater and Kyle Shea to pick it off. A return of maybe 3 yards up to the 51-yard line.
This is a really smart heads-up play by Kyle Shea. Okay? So Ottawa does a good job of staying away from it, understanding, hey, we got to give yards here and everything else. Look, the ball's just sitting there. Pick it up. Get you some momentum. Get the ball. But that's smart heads-up football, trying to trap somebody in the no yards penalty and getting some positive momentum.
I will say this, Keegan Cardona, who is your punt returner, though, kind of gave the body language, that's my ball.
Yeah, what are you doing? What are you doing?
13:22 remains here in the fourth quarter of play in this OFC semifinal contest. It's Anthony Pinto still out there for the Beefeaters, handing this one off to L.J. Dyer, who has 3 rushing touchdowns in this game. He gets up to the 50-yard line. He'll be a yard or 2 shy of moving the chains.
Yeah, and again, good positive momentum. Gain of about 8 yards on that, just that straight ahead. As we see, this is the problem that we're going to start to see here a little bit here as we see a Beefeater down. You're starting to see the cramps coming in. People are going, well, why are you getting cramps in this? Because you've played in such hot weather and warm weather. Yeah, it was breezy, but the kids are out here athletic. The temperature has dropped about 5 degrees in the last half an hour here. I'm telling you, the wind's starting to pick up a little bit again, and this is when the muscles, these guys are tired, the muscles start cramping up, and you start pulling something. This is danger territory for injuries.
I feel like I might have jinxed him because that is the starting right guard and the Bill Crest Community Service Award winner, Kevin Ricard. We were just referring to him earlier in this quarter.
Yeah, taking every snap this year for the Beefeaters as well, so that's a big loss there, unfortunately. There's been some injuries for both sides for both teams, and this Ottawa team has really battled well. This is feels like a much closer game than the last couple that we've called.
Well, and it absolutely was when you consider, again, the last time these two teams hooked it up here, September 24th at Citywide Sports Park. It was a 7-0 game after the first quarter of play for the Beefeaters. Christian Vidal had a pick 6 on Ethan Chambers, but that would be the only points of the game that the Sooners would collect. So with 10:52 remaining in the second quarter, it was a 7-6 contest. It ended up boiling to 16-6 at halftime. 31-6 by the end of the game. They were completely shut out in the second half. Well, Owen Cowan did a great job of finding his receiver in Devin Kazinda there with 1:21 remaining in the third quarter to ensure that's not going to happen again here today.
Yeah, and again, positive momentum for Ottawa. That's the first time that they've scored in the second half while visiting London this year. So, you need to, if you're Ottawa, you need to get a stop. You have to, because you have to start looking 12 minutes, 59 seconds left. You're counting possessions.
Okay, but if I'm a Beefeater fan too, I'm also thinking, okay, Ethan Chambers is gone. Leg just got hurt. Now Rickard got hurt. Your offensive line's getting banged up, and your quarterback already got banged up.
Yeah.
That doesn't hold well if and when they make the OFC final for the third straight year.
Well, what you're trying to do at this point is you're right. You want to get out of today and get into tomorrow. Worry about the next 13 minutes. I question whether some of these injuries are serious.
Well, they were able to walk off the
Yeah.
field. That's the only thing I'll say is that, even Ethan Chambers looked okay at the halftime break. We thought he was going to start. In fact, you said he was on the field, Ron. But
Yeah.
He wasn't. It's a first down for the Beefeaters up to the 40-yard line. And you know what? A guy like Leg comes out. Well, a guy like Nolan Wakeem, 6'3", 290 pounds of Beefeater, goes in.
Yeah, big man goes in there. So, again, there's some big boys out there. Look at that drive from the offensive line there.
One guy that's coming off the field right now that if I was a Beefeater, unless Ottawa scores somehow in the next 12-16, L.J. Dyer's done his job. He's got a hat trick, 3 rushing touchdowns. Do you potentially need him getting hurt over the next 12-plus minutes?
Well, you're a two-headed monster at running back, and now you just go with the other part of the Hydra, with Tazi Van Bell. Again, Taz is much more of an outside zone runner. That's what they're trying to do there.
Christian Fidel's a guy I want on my football team, Ron.
Yeah, this kid's a baller.
The guy showed it with the pick six the last time the Sooners were in town. But watch this play on Taz Van Bell. Taz Van Bell's a one fast bugger, and yet he beats him to the edge, tackles, and then realizes, okay, I'm out of bounds. I don't want to do something foolish here, like throw him down to the ground and take a foolish 15-yard penalty. Let's go of him. That's a kid I want on my team.
Yeah, he's a smart heads-up player there, understanding the situation and the timing of it as well.
Pinto in the gun. Has one run to the line. That's Nigel Morris on the far side instead. Right back to the bread and butter, which is their run game, up to the 40-yard line. And, well, it'll bring up 3rd and 10.
So, yeah, the Beefeaters went with like a heavier package there. As you can see, almost like a double wing look there. One receiver out wide. So they're just really trying to out-muscle at the point of attack. They're just trying to use some clock momentum, punt the ball, which is what they're going to do. Ottawa, realistically could get the ball about the 20. Most likely is going to be inside the 20.
They've blocked one today, remember?
They have blocked one, so, both teams have made plays on special teams, which is one of the factors that usually go into winning one of these things.
You get a rouge here, though, and it ends up being so crucial, as this one won't have enough legs to get into the end zone for the Sooners, but it is trickling all the way down to the goal line, and the Sooners retreating back. Wait a minute now. They're going to say he's down at the 1-yard line, but from my perspective, he went back into the end zone.
I thought he did too. Did he get out?
So we're going to take a look at it here on the replay. By the way, I had some Mama's Hot Italian today. Great stuff. As he's not out of the end zone.
Boy, oh boy,
so Gandy
boy.
Kazadi swallows him up in the end zone. Now, that's okay if the officials are saying he picked the ball up in the end zone, but no, he picked it up before the goal line.
He goes in on his own momentum here. Single, that should be a safety. That should be a safety. Not so they're giving him a rouge.
Which is not the right call.
No. This should definitely be, they're giving him the rouge, not the safety. Oh boy.
Okay, they are just going to give him the single. Got to give a big shout-outs to Stephanie Melrose. Did Mackenzie win her soccer game? There, big shout-out to Mackenzie Melrose for winning her soccer game here today. It's the Whitecaps, right? Congratulations to the Whitecaps. Not of Vancouver, though, for going to the finals in their girls' soccer. Shout-outs to Stephanie Melrose, a way better producer than Adam Melrose, so we can throw him under the bus.
And way smarter for bringing us hot beverages on a cold fall evening.
I don't recall Adam ever bringing us hot beverages.
No.
There's 2 run to the line for the
chicken
Sooners.
wings maybe, but not. Oh!
This one's deflected on the line, so a knockdown helps out the Beefeaters. And time is truly of the essence right now for the Ottawa Sooners.
Yeah.
Down by 11 after that rouge, which again confused me a little bit, Ron. I thought it should have been a safety and Beefeater ball.
Yeah, we both agree on that, John. We thought his momentum took it in.
Listen, if he picks that up in, like they say, south of the goal line and he gets tapped, you're right, rouge, they keep the ball. But if he picks it up even at the 1-yard line,
the 1-inch line.
Yeah, retreats into the end zone and gets tackled, that's a safety.
That's a safety. We've questioned that a couple times this year, John. Like you and I both have. And regardless.
So we're getting a bit of call it time clock management, as again they're going to let at least 6 seconds flood off of the clock here before the game clock goes off. So officials wanted 10:47. Right now there's 10:41. But regardless, we're going to get back to OFC semifinal action. So Owen Cowan, again, going to watch out for pressure possibly coming from Szymanski. No, he's going to lay back into coverage. Cowan going to air this one deep. Way overshot the intended target, though, and Nathan Coleman. In fact, Jordan Wright, who I already mentioned, had 4 interceptions to lead the team in the regular season, was the closest one in sight.
Yeah, that's just you're trying to throw something up at that point, try to make something happen. I
don't mind them taking the shot.
No, I don't mind it either, but, there's nothing really realistic in happening there or potentially happening there. So, Beefeaters the Sooners decide to punt the ball here. So, as we have 10:35 left in the game here, really close game.
They have faked one.
I don't think I think you played that card. I think you only play it once.
But wouldn't twice be equally as unsuspicious? They are going to punt this one away. I was trying to get all of our hopes up there. Takes an awkward bounce, and Keegan Cardona picks this one up. Nah, I don't like that at all. What is Ottawa supposed to do there, Ron?
And that's the difference between the 5 and the 15s. You do have to give the 5-yard halo bubble.
If you watch this, though, Keegan could have picked it up and kind of suckers them in a little bit, right there-ish.
Yeah, no, I know. And then he kind of gives himself up. It's like, well, if you do that, you're live still. So ball goes up 5 yards from there, which can be placed at the 48-yard line.
And a chance to put the nail in the coffin for the Beefeaters on this drive if they were able to get some points. I mean, even a field goal at this point, Ron, would
put you up 14.
A 2-touchdown lead. That's right.
But more than anything, you want to use clock. Yeah, absolutely. The more points, the team that scores more points at the end of the game wins. But at this point, you're wanting to use clock. This is what you're wanting to do. And
flag on the play. Pinto hands it off to Dyer. Dyer threw a gap close to the first down marker, but we'll see what the officials say.
Ottawa lined up offside again.
You've said that before.
It was their nose again. We see it on the replay. Their nose jumps early. Whoever's playing the A gap in there, see, shoots off early. He's anticipating the snap, and he's anticipating wrong. I'm sorry. I'm just calling it like I'm seeing it.
Trying to make out the number there. So regardless, 5-yard penalty.
So why do you take that penalty as opposed to taking the yards? Well, quite simply, you get 5 yards. So basically, what you're doing is you're choosing to chew up 40 more seconds of clock because now you have first down and second down as opposed to second down only. It's the clock management. This is why teams will decline that penalty or accept that penalty after a big gain.
So they get another run, and you know what? If he didn't get tackled there.
If he wasn't slowed down by the linebacker, we might have been,
So watch Van Bell does a great job of breaking through the line of scrimmage, making one move right there, and again, sure there's the safety downfield, but I sure wouldn't want to be in his footsteps if it's Taz Van Bell coming down the pipe.
Yeah, he was going to be off to the races, fortunately for that one.
And as you were saying, Ron, they run the ball, and more importantly, seconds are running off the clock.
It's clock. At this point in the game, it is strictly clock.
An 11-point lead for the Beefeaters, trying to kill off the remaining 9.5 minutes in this game to go off to the OFC Finals. Taz Van Bell to the outside, has the first down, and scampers out of bounds. Ron, you are a broken clock that can't get it right twice in a day, man.
Goodness, man, it's twice I've hit the wrong button. I thought I was trying to hit the mute button. Unmute me there.
At least you didn't invite our listeners to the inside of your throat like you did in the first quarter.
I did not. What the heck? No. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That thing.
Ottawa calls timeout as well.
We could talk about your financial advice, Ron, but we'll skip off to greener pastures.
Stop. We're just not even going there. Remember, now I'm just not engaging.
So
9:20 left, John.
If we go off of the regular season here, Ron, let's face it, the Beefeaters called all home games, and the Beefeaters went 3-1 over the course of those home games, losing the only contest of the St. Clair Saints here at home. And in fact, that one kind of came down to the wire despite it being a 35-16 final. But my point being is that, you take all those games we've done here on Beefeaters TV from 2022 and you kind of feel like, okay, this one is over. There's an 11-point lead. Beefeaters have control. But then, that's going off of the feeling of 2022 and the season we've seen. If you go off of the feeling of what we've seen tonight, October 15th, a chilly Saturday in London, interceptions, fumbles, block kicks, and plenty of, we'll call it downright stupid penalties, I mean, this game is far from over still, given all of that jazz.
Yeah, it is. It is far from over, but it certainly has this. This drive here has a.
It's very similar to the drive they had in the second quarter where they got their first touchdown of the game through LJ
Yeah.
Dyer. Like death by 1,000 paper cuts, as I like to call it. As Taz Van Bell bounces off of one tackle, will try and get to the sticks at the line of scrimmage, and he might have lost a yard on this play. Taz Van Bell goes back to help out his offensive lineman get up. That's Dylan Thomas. He's like a James Bond martini, shaken, not stirred.
Yeah, and he did lose. He lost a couple yards on that. More importantly, he went out of bounds, which it does
Stops
stop
the clock. That's right.
So that's more importantly, you want to keep your play inside here. Ottawa has used now. Very, very, very important to remember. That was Ottawa that used the timeout there. So they have one left. And it doesn't seem like much. But in the Canadian game, there's so many different ways of stopping the clock, but you want to save those timeouts for the last 3 minutes especially, if possible. I don't really understand the using of it unless you're putting in a new defense, which is kind of what they're showing, like a pressure 10 almost look right now. One safety and one. Yeah, they're bringing everybody up. They got one DB out there and one safety. That's it.
Now both jumped here. They're going to call.
Who made contact?
Sooners ran right into David Legg. That's a good sign to see David Legg back into the contest.
Yeah, exactly. The super senior that he is, and they're calling this against the Sooners because he made contact. No, they are calling it against. They're calling that against London. So okay, well,
well, I mean, that's what I called.
Yeah, you were right.
People are looking at me like I'm the broken clock here. That don't make no sense.
Yeah, it's always 12 o'clock flashing at my house.
No comment.
Stop.
This is a second down play for the Beefeaters. Second and a country mile now with 9:05 remaining in the fourth quarter. Pinto back in the gun. Going to hand this one off to Taz Van Bell. No, Pinto holds on to it. The Ottawa Sooners bit. Pinto has real estate down the far sidelines. He'll be hammered in front of the Sooners bench, but not before gaining, we'll say 9 yards up to the 35-yard line. So he is still shy of the first down.
I absolutely do not like this decision by the quarterback to keep this ball. I know it's the right decision.
Empty field on that side.
Yeah, empty field, but you're the backup quarterback and you're already in the game for this same shot. You can't be taking those. Brings up a third down as we see the punt team coming on.
Pinto wears 12. Brady wears 12. Where's the flag thrown on that one? Because he was absolutely tomahawked into the ground.
He was tomahawked into the ground, but not only that, he was the runner.
No, he's running. I mean, Trust me. We were actually debating off the air about the penalty going against Ethan Chambers. He was a mobile quarterback running to the far sidelines. Now, maybe the hit was aggressive or maybe things were said after those. So those are things we don't know from the broadcast booth. However, if you're judging it just off of the hit, there's no way that should have been a penalty.
So we're lining up for a 45-yard field goal attempt.
Plus one. 46-yarder.
46.
Snap in the hold is good. The boot is up, and this one looks like it's got enough leg, but it is wide right. Now, can Ottawa get out of the end zone? The ball actually rolls forward, allowing the returner to get out. That was Keyshawn Upshaw Tynes. You'll see it here on the replay. It took the opposite of a kicker's roll. It actually came back towards the goal line, which allowed him to get out of the end zone.
So it was a little bit wide, but yeah, you're exactly right, John. There was a little bit of English on that. It does bounce back. Why did Ottawa jump on the ball? Well, obviously, to maintain possession. But the ball, as you can see, clearly comes out to the 20-yard line. So, anytime that you're on missed field goal or a punt.
Well, that was so confusing about the quote-unquote rouge that was given up earlier because he was outside of the end zone, went back into the end zone, got tackled in the end zone. They went, oh, that's a rouge.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a safety from my perspective and your perspective, and we're going to debate that over.
So 8 minutes left.
Bird later.
Let's do some simple math. You need 2 touchdowns in this game if you're Ottawa. So you need a touchdown every 4 minutes, and they go to work here. Cowan taking a shot. Me likey this one. And this one is incomplete. They took their shot, and I give credit where credit's
due. No, he caught it. Did he catch it?
No.
Okay.
What is with you tonight?
I don't have my glasses,
I
dude.
go back to 3 weeks ago, and you're talking about the
Stop.
toxicology report you had in your body.
Stop.
Well, you gotta go back to the scales, my friend, and get the right mixtures.
It's the lights.
Sure. Okay. Oh my word. Now I will say this: I love that they took the shot
Yes,
there.
absolutely. Well, you're saying you score every 4 minutes. It's pretty easy to score in 30 seconds that way.
And I know the wind and the elements have calmed down a bit, but what a beautifully thrown spiral.
Yeah, that was a great
by
ball.
Owen
He put that
Cowan.
out there.
I think there's a reason why he's your offensive rookie of the year in the Ontario Football Conference. This time he's going to look over to his left side. This one's caught by Wilson. Wilson, though, is tackled right along the line of scrimmage. So 2 passes from Cowan, 2 beautifully thrown balls, maybe a yard gain, and they face a 3rd down here.
Yeah, Crozier does a good job of reading this. You can see they tried to slip, and Crozier understood exactly where he had to go, and the Crusher bringing the hammer down on that one. Short gain on that 3rd down.
Now, when do you have to take your stand, though? Obviously, it isn't happening here with Nathan Coleman attempting this punt with just 6:56 remaining on the clock. But at some point, if the Sooners get the ball back, regardless of whether they are on the field, they're going to have to continue to go for it on 3rd down.
Yeah, it's obviously not in this with the ball inside your 25-yard line. That's not where you make the stand.
Next drive, though,
The next drive is you're in no man's land after this.
So Nathan Coleman gets a beautiful punt away to the 51. It's fumbled away. The ball is live. Keegan Cardona hops onto it and makes up for his mistake back at the 44.
That's why you punt that ball.
Yeah, I was just going to say, yeah, we've seen that already here today.
Because we've seen that from a number of times today.
We saw Williamson punt a ball away that he recovered for a fumble in the opening half of play. And we've seen, Williamson have a punt blocked, recovered by Quentin Hodgson of the Sooners. So special teams has been a major thing, but not in the way you'd anticipate it to be, with more theatrical plays happening.
Yeah, but it always seems to come down to like that play or two on special teams that a team can make. That always seems to be that difference in a game. And I've said it in every broadcast, and I haven't said it yet today because they haven't
played it
earned it yet.
Pinto on the keep. You said you didn't like this play, but
I
apparently
don't like that play.
Apparently Snyder does, though. They'll pick up 9 yards on it. That's the second time we've seen it in the last 2 drives. Thinking about, one official has them actually marked back. It'll be 2nd and 7. Or, sorry, 2nd and 3.
Second and 3 there.
One official almost had him a yard shy of the 1st down marker, though, so I don't know why there's such a giant discrepancy.
Not sure, but what I don't like about that is I'll say it again. I don't want my quarterback taking a shot.
Especially when your starter's already hurt.
Yes. And you're under 6 minutes left to go in the ball game. Potentially you have to go to St. Clair next week. Don't take those shots. I don't want that.
So they go to the run here on 2nd down, and I think quickly, Ron, that's going to bring up 3rd down. If you're the Beefeaters, do you just punt this one away or potentially drill a nail into the coffin here?
You absolutely go for it on this because, again, Ottawa's got to give a yard. I think you're under a yard to go. Like, we're talking like a half of football here. You're absolutely going for it. As we see...
Personnel is switching up on the field.
Yeah, but it's just their heavy package that's coming in.
Currently 5 degrees in the Forest City, but the gusts have gone down to 25 kilometers an hour, and the wind currently just at, 10, a measly 10. Remember, it was up as high as 45 throughout this game. So the big package is in. Pinto behind them. They only need half a yard, and I'm pretty sure the humanity pushed over it.
Yeah, get the ball to just beyond midfield, so that's going to be 1st down by a good yard here. And now 4:42. If Coach Snyder can gain a couple more 1st downs without scoring, this could be the coffin. This could be the nail in the coffin for the Boomer Sooners.
Boomer Sooners. It took you to the 4th quarter to break out that one, Ron.
54-yard line. So, yeah, they got it by a yard and a half. You needed just to get beyond the 54, and they got to the other 54.
Well, again, on the Canadian game of football, it's an easier accomplishment than their counterparts south of the border. Why, Ron? because they got to give that space.
Because they have to give the
Yeah,
space.
that's right.
I was just trying to figure out what the officials were blowing the clock dead for, but just for a spotting issue, that's all. So, 1st and 10 Beefeaters, 4 minutes, 10 seconds left to go in the ball game. Inside handoff to LJ Dyer, straight ahead for gain about 3 yards, John.
And again, I don't know why you have him in the game at this point. We know from the previous broadcasts that we've done that they got more than just Taz Van Bell and LJ Dyer. They got Keegan Cardona and a handful of other weapons they could be throwing in at this point.
At this point, yeah, but you want to be the game's not over yet. You know, the 3:53, a lot can happen. For that matter, ask the St. Clair Fratmen what can happen in the last 1 minute and 36 seconds of a ball game. I'm sure that's going to be playing on, taped up on their dressing
Locker room
rooms
wall.
next week.
That thing that they dress in, Ron?
Yeah, their locker room. But man, oh man, this certainly feels for Ottawa. It just took their last time out.
Want to give a big shout out to the OFC and the CJFL websites for not updating the score for the other games.
No.
So, I mean, it is Hamilton versus St. Clair. It is happening right now in Windsor, and that's the best I can tell you as an Ontario Football Conference broadcaster because they don't update anything on their website. Could you imagine having to prep for this game, Ron?
It was hard.
Get out of here. 3:53 remains here. Oh, you got the button right, Ron. Wow.
I didn't mute the entire broadcast this time, John.
Remaining in the fourth quarter, and Ron figures out his mute button. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, it's a
I'm
shame.
gonna miss you guys.
It's a shame. Shame it's the last broadcast of the season on Beefs TV, but so another flag goes flying. Playing some House of Pain. Everybody's jumping around on the line. You like that one?
I like that
There
one.
we go. So it brings a funeral-like pace to this game late in the fourth quarter of play where London has had full control of it, 25-14. It didn't start that way, though,
No.
Ron. 6-0 after a huge 67-yard catch and run from Mark Webb from his quarterback, Owen Cowan. They missed the PAT, but later on, a punt into the end zone from Nathan Coleman would reinstate a 7-0 lead. That took us into the second quarter break where LJ Dyer got not one but two touchdowns, including one from 5 yards out with 13 seconds left before halftime to give the Beefeaters a 14-7 lead. And really, the second half, we saw that Casinda touchdown, but other than that, it's been the majority of it done by the Beefeaters. As an example of it right there, Dyer needed 4 yards. He got 14 and moves the sticks.
Yeah, this feels like the statement drive as they do move the sticks, and it's going to be enough for first down as we see an Ottawa player injured a little bit here. It just has this kind of feel to it. What London's doing, running the ball. They're not doing anything different. It's a read straight ahead.
I feel bad for number 94, though, Noah Ferguson on the defensive line. He got banged up. The trainers did the right thing. They ran out to him to make sure he was okay. Right away went, "I'm fine, get away from me." But the official went, "Nah, I saw the trainer come out for you. You got to go away for 3 plays."
Yeah, you got to go out. You got to go down for 3 plays now, which is not what you want to do. But I think that's a level of frustration as.
Well, if you're Noah Ferguson, you're also going, "Hey, ref, I might not even have 3 plays. So you want to just take a break, take a 5 on that one?" Take something else, but I won't say it on the air. As it is Pinto taking the snap and handing off to Nigel Morris. Here's that sweep that Ron Ford loves so casually. Only goes up for 4 yards. I was trying to do my best John McKay impression there. Do you like that?
Not bad.
Not
bad.
Ooh, it's going for a big goal. It's a 2-yard run.
Yeah. It's kind of like watching a Cubs broadcast. Oh, smack this center field and just got the other side of the shortstop.
Good old Buck Martinez.
Yeah.
So 3:08 remains here in the fourth quarter of play. I want to take a brief moment to thank the Constantines as well as the Melrose family for helping us out here on Beefeaters TV throughout the entire 2022 season, as well as our MVP on camera, Alex Schleihoff. Yeah, it's always chilly down here. I couldn't want to be on a platform about 30 feet above us during these gusty conditions.
No.
As we get another dose of the run. Go figure. LJ Dyer twisting and turning his way through the first down marker, and you hear the crowd applaud as we pass the 3-minute warning.
Yeah, like John, you and I get, we take a lot of criticism for what we do. We take a lot of, compliments for what we do.
I had some lady pregame try and chirp me over her kids. I never said anything about your kids. Get out of here.
So, but no, it's just like you get to hear us talk. We get to talk about the sport that we love and do different things. The real stars of this are the people that you're not hearing. It's Alex, it's Adam, it's all the stats people. It's the guys like Danny Fitzgerald who fills in on
I don't know about that.
On a Saturday afternoon, and just has problem after problem. And
you're gonna throw Danny Fitzgerald. Might as well thank Addis while you're at it.
I was getting there.
Oh, okay, my bad.
So, but it's all the people that you don't get to hear very often on the air that do the majority of the work and are the real MVPs.
Sean Charles, who is an all-star in the OFC at the linebacker position, the linebacker position, 21 total tackles, 2 block hits, 2 forced fumbles. He's okay. He'll walk off on the sidelines, but again, he's now got to sit out for 3 plays.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate because you're starting to get into that point where it's just the snaps are limited to how much time you have left for some of these kids, maybe in their careers, and it's facing that. It's always a tough pill to swallow, like the last time you get to do up your laces or do up your chin strap, and it's always tough.
Pinto takes the snap, settles it down for Taz Van Bell. Van Bell smothered from behind, though, by
fumble.
The ball came loose, and they're saying Sooner ball, and Taz Van Bell looks banged up. My word, things are going from bad to worse if you're a Beefeaters fan right now.
And he's grabbing at his ankle that has been hurt off and on for the last month.
I called London Mustangs football or Western Mustang, whatever you want to call it, for 10 years on the radio. That's how long I did. I don't care anymore. And, Greg Marshall gets all these kudos for all these undefeated regular seasons. But while he does that, his players seem to get chipped at and get injured and banged up. And then in the postseason, a star's missing. And then this guy's missing. And then this guy gets hurt. And they get into the finals. And those key building blocks always seem to be missing at the right time. Now, he's made me eat my words last year winning a Vanier Cup and back in 2017 as well. But plenty of seasons before 2017, they had teams to win it all. They didn't have the personnel healthy enough by the end of the season to do so. I feel a little Yogi Bear deja vu all over again happening right now because you have Ethan Chambers going down, multiple offensive linemen going down, and now your offensive player of the year going down in Taz Van Bell. The last one stings even more, Ron, because you have a 2-possession lead and 2:31 left on a fourth quarter clock.
Well, the positive momentum out of that is it really develops someone like a Pinto as a quarterback.
He's not putting any weight on that right leg.
No, he grabbed that ankle right away, and that's too bad to see. I was just about to say before that last carry, this is definitely the time that I get LJ and Tazzy out of the game and get some of those other backs.
Egan Cardona, give other guys a shot.
Give some of those other backs a chance, but they didn't, and that's it's a philosophy thing, but Ottawa's got a chance now.
Owen Cowan, what a grab by Nathan Coleman. Coleman to the sidelines. He'll try and stay in bounds. I don't know. He should have just gone out there. Would have saved some clock, and the flag is thrown at midfield.
Okay, you've got a flag at midfield, but you have a pedestrian blindside block coming on here. So this is coming back against Ottawa as there is a Beefeater absolutely lit up.
And he's not putting pressure on his left leg. That's Connor Crozier.
Wow. Crozier got absolutely jacked out on this play.
There's a third Beefeater limping off the field, and Connor Winrow. Both Connors got banged up on that last play.
So, wow.
They're dropping like flies literally right now.
We said that with the temperature change and the temperature, it's dropping. But that is something that you don't want to see. This guy has worked his butt off to make the starting lineup.
Temperature change. We're not dealing with a polar vortex that killed the dinosaurs here, Ron. I mean, guys are dropping left, right, and center.
Yeah, it's ankles, it's quads, it's hamstrings, it's cramps and stuff like that. But it is that cold temperature. It's going because again the muscles have warmed up, and again. with the cold temperature, it's so easy to pop something. But, that's something that I definitely hope he's going to feel a whole lot better about. I didn't see what the other Beefeater was down for.
He wasn't down for long, but both Connor Winrow was skipping off the field, and like you mentioned, Connor Crozier really needed help to get off the field, both on that last play. Ottawa's huddle is moving back, anticipating where the officials are going to put this ball. And with 2:20 remaining, down by 11, I mean, that's just another bullet in your foot, if you will.
Yeah.
Because
you
got to go down the field. And you don't only have to go down the field, you got to do it twice.
Yeah, so like you're running out of time to do this, and you're running out of playing opportunities, and you're running out of plays to do it in.
Now, the only benefit, well, I guess it's not to Ottawa for next week, though, if they lose this game, is your opposition's losing players.
Yeah,
Every
that's
play
not
they're
really.
dropping.
It's not really a benefit, like Ottawa's. Let's really realistic. Unless they've got a miracle, which we've seen.
A little too hot to handle out of the shotgun arm of Owen Cowan.
I'm surprised they didn't go, and I said that a little bit earlier to you as well. I'm surprised that they hadn't gone back to that type of play more often. They had success with it. They hit it a couple times earlier in this game, and they had a lot of success. Now, mind you, one was a block, like a shoestring tackle away from being another big play. I thought that they could have gone back to that type of play more often. That wide receiver screen, that inside screen, I thought to really use the Beefeaters' aggression against them was going to be a way for Ottawa to keep in this game.
Matthew LaBelle was the extra defensive lineman. They'll go back to their three-man front as he skips off the field. 2nd and 10 for the Sooners. They need yards, and they need them now. Cowan gets rid of it as he's hit. Okay, come on now. We saw how many roughing the passer penalties in this game, and that's not one.
Yeah, that was close. They're
Watch this. The ball's gone, and he gets thrown down to the turf. Okay. Okay.
3rd down, and we talked about, John, the line in the sand. The line in the sand is now. You have to go for it.
That was like that time clock violation I saw in the first half that went, 10 seconds off the clock, and then they were throwing the flag.
Seemed to be, yeah. So, game, set, and match is pretty much on deck here. 2:09 left to go. 3rd down here in 10 for the Sooners. Ball is at the 25-yard line.
So if you're a football fan in our nation's capital, your season comes down to this. 10 yards needed here to extend the 2022 year for the Ottawa Sooners. 3 weapons to the left side for Cowan. Cowan fires it. It's deflected into the air, and then it's intercepted by the Beefeaters. Dylan Clark. Pick 6 Beefeaters and a late flag thrown on the play.
I think they're gonna call the touchdown good, and then they're gonna get after the touchdown scored stuff.
I think Dylan might have said something at the end of that when he crossed over the line.
They're calling it on 40 for the Beefeaters is who the penalty was on.
That's Nick Samus, the linebacker.
Yeah. That's who they're talking to, but it was the touchdown. And this seems to be Ottawa's day today, They got a little bit of positive momentum going on, and the ball ricochets off of one of your players into Dylan Clark's name, who we hadn't really called much in the second half at all.
Outstanding defensive lineman and an OFC All-Star just last week. Over the course of the regular season, the Belleville, Ontario native had 23 total tackles, 6.5 sacks, a blocked kick, 5 knockdowns, 2 fumble recoveries, and 1 included a touchdown.
So they called 3 objectionable conduct penalties
my word.
against the Beefeaters. So, what?
So
you're going to be kicking off from, I think, your end zone.
I was just going to say, so touchdown's still going to count, and it doesn't affect Williamson's PAT here with 2:01 remaining in the 4th. However, like you said, those 3 penalties will be tacked on in the ensuing.
You're literally going to be kicking from your goal line. You will be kicking off from your goal line.
If you're right. The snap is bobbled. They pick it off the ground. Now that's still a live ball for the Sooners to recover, no? Can the Sooners not recover that PAT and
can't-
take it all the way back for 2?
They can in the U.S. college. They can in the NFL. I don't know if you can in the CFL game.
And there's a Beefeater down at the 30, although this does look like cramping.
Yeah, this is cramping, 100%. You know, you just, again, just the way that some of these guys are going down, you can see it right away and how they're reacting. Is that that Williamson, though?
Listen, I go back to the last time these two teams played each other. When Ottawa got that pick 6 through Christian Verdale, remember we got some tomfoolery out of Jared Musavali. He zigzagged all the way back to the 50-yard line on the PAT. If what you're referring to is right, they would have just blown that play down then, because if the Beefeaters somehow get the ball out of Musavali, then the play's dead. Instead, they allowed him to continue to run all the way back to the 50 and fall down. So my question goes back to that last play. If I'm a Sooners fan, is that not a live ball for him to pick up and keep going with?
And there was no clear possession.
No, that was the other thing. Like, a Beefeater went and got his paw on it, but didn't possess it, and then the whistle blew.
But if the Beefeater gets his hand on the ball while the ball is on the ground and an Ottawa player touches him, he's down.
Correct. But the
So-
ball can't keep running around like loose change on the carpet, though.
Again, if he's got it with his hand on the ball and any part of him on the ground, i.e. knee or elbow or something, I know what you're saying.
I don't think there was possession enough to dictate that.
There absolutely wasn't. And by the way, the Beefeaters are kicking off from the 10-yard line.
Okay, so not the goal line at least.
Or the 20. Is it the 20? So they marked off 30 yards. So they marked off 2 objectionable conduct penalties.
Or did they give each of them 10 yards, depending on how you want to split the cat?
Regardless, Ottawa's going to have great field position at the end of this.
Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, after that pick 6 by Dylan Clark, it brings it to a 31-14 scoreboard. This one is over.
Yeah, you know, it was kind of the nail in the coffin. That last drive that the Beefeaters had going before that Taz fumbled on, that kind of felt like, you know, that type of drive. And it'd be interesting to see who's coming out here for the Beefeaters as well.
So Williamson gets this all the way to the Sooner 50. Trying to come back the other way was Upshot Tynes, but to be honest with you, Tynes, A, made the mistake of letting that ball bounce one time, and B, then he started zigzagging instead of heading straight northbound. If he catches that ball in the air, it's already at midfield. Even if he only gets a 10-yard return, he finds himself in Beefeater territory.
Yeah, he literally gets his ball at the 45-yard line, and he ends up getting 1 yard on the return. So Ottawa with the ball at the 46-yard line of the Sooners. 1:55 left, John. It's, you know what? Let's give credit where credit is due. Coach and owner Kevin Ling, he's brought back the Ottawa Sooners to relevancy. The Ottawa Sooners are a relevant franchise in the CJFL, which is going to put a lot of pressure on other teams going forward, because Ottawa is traditionally a powerhouse. They have built this from the ground up.
Well, we also saw Quinty join the scene in the OFC, and allowing Ottawa to come back into the scene really develops the eastern side of the province.
Yes, it really does, and it's good to see, and it's what you need. It's what football in Ontario needs, as we've seen like teams like Kitchener.
Well, I was going to say John Urban's wish list is for a Guelph or Kitchener-Waterloo team to join on this side of the fence.
Yeah.
And then a team like Kingston to join on that side of the fence.
Or I'm going to even one more you. What about getting the Oshawa Hawkeyes back into effect?
Oh, I don't know. Adam played for them. Cowan misses the target here to bring up third down. $1:45 remains in this OFC semifinal action.
Let's get back some of those traditional teams that we had in the 80s, like the Ottawa Sooners.
And I was, mentioning the long history of the Beefeaters going back to 1975 and mentioned teams like the Etobicoke Lakeshore Bears and the Peterborough Panthers. I've been doing this a couple seasons with you, Ron. It'd be nice to see communities like that have football teams again. Although I will say,
the Toronto Grizzlies.
Etobicoke Lakeshore Bears take GTA, yeah. But,
yeah.
I mean, Peterborough would be nice. Like you were just referring to Oshawa. I was saying Kingston earlier. You open up central Ontario a bit more, and then you draw the dots in between.
And let's draw another connection with Kingston. Steve Schneider, the head coach at Queens, brother of Matt Schneider.
The better of the Schneider brothers.
Yeah, but brother of Matt.
As we get a fake and an incomplete pass. Oh, well, you said they weren't going to try it twice. They did, although it was a different
Well, you
kind
had
of
no
fake.
choice. You had no choice. With
Well,
the
then
punt
I don't.
38.
Well, then
I don't think it was.
I don't know why you line up for the punt then if you have no
I don't
choice.
think they lined up for the punt. I think that was.
Please show the replay, Mr. Melrose. Is that not punt formation there, Ron?
Yeah, no one's fine.
This
what,
guy-
what are you doing?
What?
One more time to be sure.
Yeah, let's show it one more
can we
time.
show
They
it,
are
Ron?
absolutely lined up in punt
According to Ron
formation.
Forward, this is
Oh,
not
stop.
punt. This is not punt formation.
What are you guys gonna do without beating me up like on air anymore? Like, jeez.
We can just have a dodo bird spilling like warm liquid off the table.
That's
just drip,
nice.
drip,
That's nice.
drip. Like, oh, there's Ron's replacement.
There you go.
98 seconds left between the Beefeaters going to a third straight OFC final. They're going to hand this ball off in, oh my Ron Forwarda. Maybe they actually listened to John Urban for once because Chris Emezakita is in with 94 seconds left. A guy who I thought, along with Keegan Cardona, should have been getting the ball the last 10 minutes of game time.
And a new quarterback in number 9 for the Beefeaters as well.
So instead of seeing Pinto at the helm, we see Ethan Reed. And for a second there, I thought it was Ethan Chambers. They have kind of a similar body type,
well,
too.
it's similar body type, but Ethan Chambers was number 8. This is number 9 and a quarterback for the Beefeaters.
Both wear the long sleeves, too.
Yep.
So the third quarterback of the day for the Beefeaters is in, yet it's a similar play as Emezakita goes right up the middle, comes off of a couple tackles, and he has a chance to go all the way.
He's gone.
A chance for a 44-yard touchdown scamper, and it's good. Touchdown, Beefeaters.
And there's flags on the play, but the flags are going against Ottawa there.
Emezakita from another area code increases the Beefeaters' lead with a $1.06 remaining.
Big man just shrugging people off there. Great job finishing the run.
Now, you're not going to see it here on the replay because it was such an incredible job of showing you that tight net action. But if you actually saw from our broadcaster perspective, almost a wider screen, plenty of cheap shots by the Sooners at the end of that play.
Yeah, there, and it's unfortunately.
Oh, you're not going to see it there.
It was right at the top of the screen there.
Just at the end, too. You see another Beefeater going
Well, that's what
bottom over tea kettle.
That's what they're going to call the 15-yarder on. You know, they're engaging a block, and you know it's unfortunate that it happens, but it does at this level. This score is going to be, you know, it's a 20-point score, barring the PAT here being made. This sure didn't feel like a 20-odd point victory for the Beefeaters for the majority of this game. Ottawa, like again, for me, controlled. It was about the 7-minute mark of the second quarter where things kind of turned for the Beefeaters, and really, it you know, after the interception, you know, again, Ethan Chambers goes down. Again, you know, Ottawa's got all the momentum in the world, and the Beefeaters just seem to settle down and just slowly plod their way back into this game. And with 106 left, they have a 24-point lead.
You would say, though, for the Ottawa Sooners that hopes have to be high for 2023. Yeah. You have the OFC Coach of the Year in Kevin Ling. Yeah. Like you said, guiding this program back from a hiatus to a 5-3 regular season record and into the semifinals where, let's face it, you're facing the 2-time defending OFC champions. Not an easy task. They also have the Offensive Rookie of the Year of the OFC and Owen Cowan. And to be honest with you, Cowan, maybe not the greatest day at the office, but has shown a world of potential even in this game when he was trailing.
This is a really young Ottawa team, and this team has got a lot of potential. And
so, by the way, they're kicking from the 50 now of the Sooners. Remember, they were kicking from the 10 of their own side of the field on the previous kick. Just shows you how the penalties after the plays are playing a factor. He might get a rouge. Might get a rouge. Now, Ottawa will get out of their own end zone. This time, it'll avoid the rouge. And, you know, joking aside, avoids a potential safety.
Yeah. But again, you know, kind of going back to the Ottawa point that we'd made earlier and a couple times, this is a really, really young, athletic Ottawa team. So they are athletes everywhere. I think given another year, they're going to come back even stronger and stronger. This Ottawa team, they've arrived. Okay, the Sooners are back in Ontario football.
And not just from what they're doing on the field, as I was referring to earlier. They helped out the local food bank, the Caldwell Family Center in Ottawa, raise over $2,000 worth of food before the Thanksgiving weekend, truly investing themselves into the community that they play for.
Yeah, and those are things that are important. They go a long way in building relationships with the community, and I think I'm glad to see Ottawa back in playing football in Ontario as we see that step off screen again.
Coleman makes the catch. It's a gain of about 15 yards. A Beefeater, though, is shaken up at the end of this one. He'll need help getting up, but he appears to be okay. That's Kyle Shea.
We saw him make a big play earlier today.
Put his body on the line to stop Nathan Coleman. He can't get up. So we got another injured Beefeater here with 54 seconds left in the contest. And again, you don't want to see anybody get injured at any point of any game.
No.
But when you know you got the championship game on your horizon and you have less than a minute of real game action, you want to make sure everybody's coming off the field healthy.
Yeah, the last thing you want is injuries into starters or anything like that. But
like a Taz Van Bell?
Yeah.
Oh, like an Ethan Chambers?
Yeah.
Oh,
Or
like your
David
offensive
Legg.
line? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going on something.
Yeah, so that's the last thing you want to see. But injuries do happen in sports, and they're uncontrollable at times.
And if you're going off of Dr. Ferwarda, I love your infomercials at 4 a.m. by the way. But just going off of those,
it's usually the slap chop.
Yeah, this is all dehydration. This is all cramping. So maybe none of these are really serious injuries to consider.
No, some of them are.
Oh, come on, doctor.
Okay? Some of them are, but hey, look, it's. I call it like I see it, and I see it a certain way, and people like it or they don't.
The Ferwarda sauna belt is not a problem, isn't it?
Yeah, the Johnny Urban Shake-A-Weight.
I worked at Showcase. I sold a ton of crap to a ton of stupid people. And so there's 54 seconds. Hey, if you're gullible to buy it, I'm not going to stop you. And so there's 54 seconds left in this game. The official goes, I don't like the spot of this pigskin. I'm going to step in between both of you.
Well, you got to make sure that the injured player's off before it's snapped. That's what they're doing there.
Yeah, and you got that on the head there for the first time today.
Thank you.
And on Kyle Shea.
There it is. The broken clock gets it right twice in a day.
You got it once. So
that was once. Give me another one coming.
11 and a half hours away. It'll be Coleman to the near side, catching this ball from Owen Cowan. Coleman spinning off of a tackle, staying on his feet. Coleman trying to extend this play, goes through another tackle up to the 40-yard line like the Energizer Bunny. He just refused to go down and left a plethora of white uniforms on the grass as a result.
Yeah, great run after catch. And again, you've got some backups in for the Beefeaters, defensive players, and you've got some of the third strings coming in. One broken tackle, two broken tackles, three broken tackles, four broken tackles. That's what I like to see. That's what Ottawa is coming with next year.
Back to Coleman. Another taste of Coleman and another first down. He'll scamper out of bounds at the 54-yard line. 25 seconds left. So at least for a guy like Nathan Coleman, he's padding the stats. 3 straight receptions here late in the fourth.
Yeah, and it's great to see, but
where was this the whole game?
I said that earlier today. You've had success running that step-off concept. Why haven't you come back to it more often? And the screen game, we saw them have success with the screen game earlier this year.
The only credit I'll give Kevin Ling, though, is when they were trailing the last time here at Citywide, I felt like they didn't take a lot of shots deep.
No.
Today they did. They did try and take their shots, especially when they were trailing. So 3 run to the line. Will he go to Coleman again? Yes, he will. You might as well just put me on a tape recorder and keep hitting stop and repeat at this point, Adam, as it's an 11-yard gain for Nathan Coleman.
So I'd say let's see the replay on that, but I think we've seen it 3 plays in a row. So it's just that hook step-off concept that they're running. All he's doing is, because the Beefeaters are playing so far off, he's just turning around after 5 yards. It's an easy completion. See, they're playing inside leverage there, and they're playing off. So
Does this go to Coleman?
Absolutely it does.
Come on. Stop it. As he goes to a 20-yard gain, he burns, 8 seconds off the clock. 7 seconds remain. Oh, Coleman's hurt. Damn it, I was just going to say I want a Coleman touchdown before we're all done.
Yeah, but that's where it's heading. There's 7 seconds left. But that's what they're doing. It's the coverage that they're playing. They're playing third coverage, and they're just dropping off, and they're going to give you that 5-yard underneath route, and that's that. That's all there is to it.
I feel so bad for Nathan Coleman, a guy that's, contributed throughout the 2022 season. He had 13 receptions during the regular season for 203 yards and a touchdown. And again, he was named an OFC All-Star as a result of that. And then literally this last drive has been Coleman, and a side of Coleman. And I really thought, you got one more play. It'd be great just to see one more taste of Coleman and maybe into the end zone. Be a great way for the Sooners to end out their year. And it looks like Coleman's hurt. So Coleman was trying to do the respectable thing. Go, you know what? I'll just get off the sidelines this side and save some time. The official goes, no. I want you to go across the entire...
Well, you have to. You have to for safety reasons.
So what? 7 seconds left, Ron. He can walk to the locker room right now if he wanted to.
It doesn't matter. You have to.
He could Devontae Adams, a microphone guy. He could do whatever he wants at this point.
The one thing you can't do and play again is Antonio Brown.
Get charged with assault in Kansas City.
Oh, my goodness.
As it is, one last play for the Sooners.
Hey, look, a step off.
It's a completed pass, and, the Sooners will get one more play potentially here if the officials allow it.
I think you're going to get one more. Because there was 1 second left on the clock when he was tackled. So this, barring penalty, John, shall be the final play of the first OFC
semifinal. Sooners find themselves at the 13-yard line within the red zone, but it's a 1st and 10 play. You hear the buzzer going off in the background here at Citywide Sports Park. And like Ron was referring to, barring a penalty, this should be the final play of the game here on your Saturday night. Cowan looking to go to the end zone, pump faking. Cowan is tackled from behind, and that will conclude the ball game. Marcelo Da Silva in on the sack, and the Beefeaters here in the semifinals advance to the OFC Championship game by a final score of 38-14.
Great game, great effort. I really liked how Ottawa came into this game. It's just coming down to they're a horse or two short from really competing in the race, but I really like what Ottawa does. But let's give full marks to the London Beefeaters for the 3rd time in as many years. The Beefeaters have a chance of playing, they have a chance of winning the OFC championship.
I was going to say, ironically enough, we've been covering London Beefeater football for 3 seasons now here on Beefeater TV. And, for the 3rd straight year, they're going to an Ontario Football Conference Championship game. Again, though, going off the deja vu adage, 6-2 last year, only 2 losses to the Saints. Went through the postseason, saw the Saints in Windsor in the final, and pulled out the upset. This year, 6-2 final, only 2 losses to the Saints. Just got through Ottawa to go to the finals, which will more than likely be in Windsor against the Saints. Can they possibly do it again?
Only time's going to tell what's going to happen with that. But whoever does come out of Ottawa, there is a power rising in the West that is going to be dynamite.
Well,
and potentially, and I'm just saying this because potentially, John, we thought we were done at this point last year. Let's be realistic. I was like, okay, well,
so you're referring to if London were to, beat the Saints again for an OFC championship in Windsor.
October 29th,
they'll host
the Okanagan Sun.
Well, you don't know that
potentially are a-coming.
The Okanagan Sun play an hour from now against the defending CJFL champion Langley Rams. That's a 5 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. local time kickoff. And again, right now, Hamilton is in Windsor taking on the Saints at Acumen Stadium. The winner of that game plays the Beefeaters for the Ontario Football Conference Championship. Before we go, though, Ron, we talked about this Ottawa team. Maybe your last thoughts on it. They have the OFC Coach of the Year, OFC Rookie of the Year in Owen Cowan, their quarterback, and plenty of weapons we talked about both offensively and guys like Webb and Avery and Wilson, and defensively, too, in Richard Graham, as well as guys like Sean Charles.
Yeah, really athletic-looking team. It's a good-looking team. It's a great foundation that Ottawa has. I'm telling you, this Ottawa team next year, watch out for the Sooners because they're going to be coming.
London prevails in this game by a score of 38-14. However, like I was mentioning before, for the Beefeaters, they'll go off to face the Saints more than likely, unless Hamilton were to pull out the upset. But Ethan Chambers got hurt in this game. The second consecutive game we've seen the starting quarterback get hurt. Along with that, we saw Tazvang Bell, your offensive player of the year, get banged up, and he couldn't put any pressure on that right leg walking off the field. And as it is in football, we saw guys come and go with bumps and bruises. Some of them looked minor, like cramping and dehydration. Others not so much, with the championship on the horizon.
Yeah, and the injuries are always a huge factor that go into this at this point. It's good to see some of those players that did go off, who couldn't put pressure on their ankles and stuff, etc., actually go through to shake hands at the end of this game as well. So some of them...
Tazvang Bell is on crutches.
Yeah, that's the one that I was going to kind of point out that isn't able to go through the line by himself. So, Coach Matt Snyder and the Beefeater coaching staff, they go to the drawing board tomorrow morning against against Hamilton, hosting here next week, or on the road, more than likely, on the road to St. Clair to play the Saints.
Well, on that drawing board, it has to be L.J. Dyer's name scraped in there somewhere, because the guy had the hat trick here tonight. He had 3 touchdowns. This is the guy that burned the Sooners for 6 touchdowns over the course of the regular season, and then here tonight.
Yeah, and L.J. Dyer's is really, like we kind of said earlier, he's kind of taken over that bell cow, thing for the Beefeaters. He's much more of a physical back. As for me, there is a player. This is what football is right there. And Johnny, you're kind of putting the camera on it right there. It comes down to, it's an emotional game. These are young men that have battled, who have given everything they have. And the finality of your season coming to an end sometimes is never a good thing. It's that is a young man coming to his emotions, and I have full respect and really admiration for players like this.
And we actually see down at the far sidelines, number 22 of the Beefeaters and Jordan Wright going over and consulting a Sooner. In fact, 2 others are going to join him in Cardona as well as Spence. I'm not 100% sure what's going on down there, but it looks like sportsmanship at the end of the day.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you're seeing here. These guys have battled each other for 60 minutes of playing time. They've given absolutely everything that they have to give over the last 4 hours of football. It is a physical sport. It's an emotional sport, but it's a sport of brotherhood. And there's no other sport that brings it together like football.
So that was Sean Charles, a linebacker, and I assume because he was an all-star and given the stats that he had, he potentially is a senior playing in his final game. But I love what I saw there by the Beefeaters, going and recognizing the seniors, recognizing game, as the kids like to say, Ron.
Yeah.
It's just great sportsmanship. Like you said, 4 hours of, I'm not going to call it bad blood, but this isn't a sport you can't like your opponent too much, but at the end of the day, they shake hands and show respect.
You don't have to like each other. You sure don't have to get along. But at the end of the day, you have to respect each other. And that is why I always love that handshake line at the end of a 7-game hockey season, or at the end of a season like this for the Ottawa Sooners, and potentially last home game for the Beefeaters.
Yeah, potentially the last home game. That will take pretty much a miracle for that to change, Ron, for Warda, which allows me to thank Alex Schleihoff on camera duties. He's been rocking it all 2022 season. The entire Melrose family, Adam and Stephanie, taking us through all the directing and producing. And, well, big shout out to Stephanie bringing us the hot cocoa on this chilly London night. And again, as well as the Constantines helping us with the graphics and replay information. Ron, it's been an incredible journey yet again with you here on Beefeater TV. And as we see the Beefeaters, dancing this one off after a 38-14 victory, I know a particular friend of ours that's probably enjoying this from up above right now. And the reason why you and I, Adam, and frankly the whole crew is doing this, in my opinion, is KJ Kenemy. Not only do I believe that this broadcast, but every broadcast we've done here in 2022 is dedicated to you, big fella. We miss you. We love you. We can't wait to see you again soon. It is a 38-14 victory for the Beefeaters. They are off to the OFC final.
You know, Johnny, better words couldn't be said. Again, thank you to everybody who's allowed us to bring this to you guys. And again, Johnny, for doing all the heavy lifting again. Appreciate you, buddy.
38-14 victory for the Beefeaters. They're off to the third consecutive OFC final. For the entire Beefeater TV crew, I'm Johnny Yu. Have a wonderful night.